How's your day going?
It is going well. How about yours?
Fine. This was my
Good, good.
cheat day. I ate a bag of gummy Happy Hoppers.
What is a happy
It's
hopper?
made by Haribo. You know Haribo, the gummy bear company?
Oh, if you eat enough of those, they make you poop.
Thank you for that. Anyway,
Well, this is Geeky Geezers,
oh
right?
my goodness. I don't know why you're bringing up pooping on my stream. This is
They have Geeky
ridiculous.
Geezers, right?
At any rate,
Being
what was I
regular
going
is
to say?
important to aging.
Happy Hoppers are released around Easter time, but I managed to find someone on Amazon selling because they were bunny rabbits. That's their whole thing. But uh, apparently at the store I was at, they also had a bag of the gummy unicorns by Haribo, and I've never had their unicorns.
Oh, those will make you poop a rainbow.
We didn't plan that in advance. Welcome everybody to Geeky Geezers.
Yeah, this is what you get when we're off the cuff, right?
Yes, and this is my co-host PaPa Pacelli.
Hello, hello.
I call you that because that's what it was in the first stream, so I've just stuck with it.
It's fine. I still see people refer to me in other streams as PaPa Pacelli, so yeah.
Hello, geezers. Have a great stream. Hope everyone enjoys the show. Thank you, Big Al. I have to get with him on doing another Robin of Sherwood stream before the summer's out.
That's what he's been saying.
I know. I'll email him. I'll try to remind myself to do that after. We'll set a date. I know he's got stuff planned. Maybe I can pick a date later on.
Yeah.
Horizon Talker, welcome. Always good to see you. Check out his channel. Curtis Selby, welcome. Horizon Talker, welcome. Curtis. Oh wait, I just said those. Let's see. Gorilla Random Thoughts. Good news, our floodwaters went from Snoop Dogg high down to Cheech and Chong. At least the floodwaters didn't get as high as Willie. I have to tell you, I will always be in permanent sympathy of someone who has to deal with floodwaters.
Right?
Considering I've dealt with it myself, so I get it. Get your Geeky Geezer on and get ready for a fun show. I hope it's fun. We try to have fun. I don't think this is going to be as much of a downer stream as last week.
Despite the fact that we do have a record number of in remembrances tonight, but I think they're important.
You know, I have thoughts about that new Zelda game coming out from Nintendo.
Okay.
If Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, and it got a remake in that same style that they're doing this new game in, and that was basically influenced by Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be neat if this new game was influenced by Twin Peaks The Return?
Ooh, clever.
If there are little things in there referencing Twin Peaks The Return. I don't know if that'll be the case, but they should just go out and just be weird.
And a little light plug for Tuesday nights live from Sparkwood and 21.
Yeah. Link's Awakening is so weird. There's a part in that game where you have to, a ghost is following you around. He's like, bring me back to my house by the bay. And he looks like, I think he's pink in the remake, but he's like, it's like the typical sheet-looking ghost, right? With like the, the eyes and the mouth, and he's following around. Finally, you take him to the house by the bay, and he's like, oh, such nostalgia. And it's this crappy, decrepit house, and he's just wandering around it for like 2 minutes. And I'm like, can we move on? No, take me to my grave. And it's like, did I get anything out of that? I'm trying to remember. Did he give me something?
Yeah.
Like something I can use, because that was just in my opinion, that was annoying. Following me around.
You helped somebody to be at peace and and move on and whatnot, and that's a good thing. But
it's not even a ghost anyway, because these are all figments in the windfish's. Don't get me started on this game.
Okay, you're the one who brought it up. I don't know why you're yelling at me.
That was great. What was that? That was between sophomore and junior year high school. I'm playing it over the summer, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm stuck in someone's dream. That's what I figured out at the end of the game. This is why I'm running into talking animals and alligators that want dog food.
That kind of does explain a lot, doesn't it?
And the mayor of SimCity is writing pen pal letters. Why is he in a Zelda game? Nothing of this makes any sense. Anyway, let's move on. I get off at the tangent. Hi, Netter. Welcome. Thank you. Netter did a fantastic interview on her channel Thursday.
Alon Carter. She's getting a lot of accolades for that one. A lot of people saying it was her best stream ever.
And Alon Carter will be starting her own channel soon.
Yep, absolutely. go check out Netters, and you can see the link to Alon's channel so that you can subscribe to her.
It was interesting her talking about the Playboy Mansion too. Like, I know post Hefner's are like, "Oh, he was a horrible blah 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 blah," and people forget that, that was just a fun place to be back then. Remember?
It was just it really was just a party place. And look, it's just like, come on, guys. If you went to any college parties, you know that the person running it and you and your friends and everything could have been all completely decent people, and there might have been some shenanigans going on that, but by and large, it was the hobnobbing that was done,
Yeah. You can see the Playboy Mansion in Beverly Hills Cop 2. There's a cameo of it in that movie.
There you go.
And Beverly Hills Cop Axel F comes out soon, so I'll be checking that out probably on the 4th or maybe over the weekend. But who else is here? D. Pensek, welcome. If I missed anyone, I apologize.
Looks like we have a deleted scenes raid coming on over as
Excellent.
Mikey Sousa comes in and announces.
Well, thank you so much. Connie Cleary, welcome. Always good to see you. And let me go down. And you said Mikey Sousa was here. Okay, well, there we go. Here we are, Mikey Sue's 4. Thank you. Thank you all for showing up. He was having a Q&A. I asked him if he had seen the trailer for Nosferatu, and we're going to be talking about the trailer for Nosferatu. But I think it'd be a good idea if I got my slides uploaded, don't you?
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
Before the stream.
Well, I mean, if you want to be all professional and on the ball, I mean,
there we go.
I am not one to talk about that after last Monday. Let me tell you.
What happened last Monday?
Oh, you didn't hear? I completely screwed up the stream. We were 20 minutes in. I was saying hi to the chat and talking about the movie coming up, and nobody's responding to me. What the hell's going on? Went ahead and started the movie, and I look up and I'm talking about the opening of the movie and stuff like that. I look up and deleted scenes is saying in the Cosme chat, he's like, "You're starting the movie before you start the YouTube chat?" I think new people are going to be a little confused. And I'm like, oh, crap, I never went live. I had to start all over again 20 minutes into the show.
Thank you for showing up deleted scenes. So what do we always do after our greetings at the beginning of this stream? What do we talk about?
We talk about the good old days, kind of to fortify ourselves against the crappy news we're probably going to be bringing you for the rest of the stream.
I actually think we have some decent stories.
Most of it's pretty good. At least some of it's kind of interesting, thought-provoking, and can start up a bit of a conversation. Some of it's a little bit of schadenfreude, too. We'll talk about some of that, too.
I mean, definitely some interesting theme park news. So we'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
But let's get to the good old days. And this kind of unfortunately coincides with an In Remembrance tonight. But we talked about this briefly once before, but I thought Troy might want to get into it. By the way, I did watch a few episodes of this today because it's on Tubi.
Yeah.
Everything
yes, it is.
Good is on Tubi.
There's a lot of great stuff on Tubi. In fact, don't tell my boss, but during the workday, I've been playing episodes of Babylon 5, which I know that Mr. Matchstick has just finished watching at our recommendation.
Oh, excellent.
I'm kind of revisiting it a little bit. That's on Tubi. But yes, we had talked about Sid and Marty Krofft when one of them passed away. I don't remember which, but we kind of went into their whole repertoire. Sid and Marty kind of owned Saturday mornings for most of us kids in the 70s.
Yep.
And we talked all about that, and at least a cornerstone of that was this show, Land of the Lost. It was a big part of why our generation loved dinosaurs so much. Don't be mistaken. If you're looking for anything like real paleontology, don't look for it here. This is just enough to get an idea and an excitement about dinosaurs, and a little bit of stop motion photography, but mostly practical puppets. Really, really cool. Great. Great for a shoestring budget Saturday morning cartoon kind of a thing. Live action composite with the miniatures and puppets.
You know what, though? I think it held up better than I thought it would. Now, maybe the kids today might scoff at it, but you
Yeah,
have to understand that what they were trying to do back then, and to be fair, this goes back to the beginning of movies. You can go back to the
true.
silent era. They were really trying to mix animation, and I guess with this it would be puppets and even stop motion animation with real people. This is not a new thing in cinema. It is now we do it all the time with computers, but back then, they were figuring out other ways to do it, and that's what they do here. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a funny episode where the young girl runs into the brontosaurus, who they call the brontosaurus Dopey. Was that his name?
I think so, something like
And
that.
he's a baby
Yeah,
brontosaurus, which is
yeah.
still pretty large, but he's and she wants to take him home and keep him as a pet. Remember that? And that was this whole thing. And
Right, and the whole idea was that I mean, they charactered the what we call an apatosaurus now. They called back in the 70s a brontosaurus.
yeah.
They thought of them as like big cows, and so they treated them as if they had that kind of a personality and behavior. And who knows? That's probably very possibly accurate, to be honest. But so I guess what we really should do is kind of back up and give the whole premise here, right?
The synopsis. Yeah.
Every episode started out with this great little country folk song, right, composed for the show, which gave you the background, so that you didn't have to have seen the pilot episode such that it was to understand what was going on. Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition meant the greatest earthquake ever known. So it literally, and again, this is the composite, right? Because the rapids that they're on, the river, is literally just a mock-up on the side, a bunch of rocks with water pouring over it.
Yes,
and
like
them
out of a model train set.
Exactly, and them kind of superimposed in a rubber raft. And what happens is they go over the falls, and instead of like dying, right, they end up, kind of a la what's his name, wrote Sherlock Holmes, Doyle. Just like Doyle's like
The Lost World.
Lost World, exactly. Yes. They end up in another world, literally. And throughout the whole series, you don't know if they've gone back in time to like a prehistoric Earth, or if they're on a completely other planet altogether. You don't know. They don't know.
Or maybe they fell like through some section of the Earth's crust, and there's the hollow.
Maybe
Earth
they were
theory,
literally in the hollow Earth. They never made it clear. In fact, it's implied that's probably not the case, because
they did say there were 3 moons. Yes.
Yeah, because there were multiple moons, so they start thinking another planet. They encounter a race of reptilian humanoids that they dubbed the Sleestack.
Yes.
And one in particular who is not only intelligent but speaks their language, by the name of Enoch.
Is that the one right there in the picture?
Yes, that's Enoch, and he lives in his own section of a ancient city, and he obviously looks like the other Sleestack, but he is to these other Sleestack what they are to like the Neanderthals that they encounter. It's that big of a difference. And Enoch is also there and lost, and he believes that it's a time travel thing because his ancestors or descendants, he's not even certain, are these Sleestack. You notice he's standing in front of a like a table that's got these little gems on it, and
ancient technology.
It's some kind of technology that he kind of grasps a little bit, and he's trying to unravel so that maybe he can help everyone get home. And there are these portals, with the smoke coming through them, and they can go to other places and times and stuff. And he's trying to help them get home, but in the meantime, they're having all these adventures, just trying to survive, being beset by like I said, these reptilian Sleestack. The of course you have your dinosaurs. You've got your Allosaurus and your T-Rex and so forth. There's the Sleestack, right, and I mean this was some great stuff. And look, You got the little blonde girl with the pigtails, Holly. I'll tell you what, when you're a little 9-year-old boy, she's she's a babe.
Well, this is like all the young boys that had a crush on Jennifer Connelly before she even became more mature. But she was around their age anyway,
right?
Before she became nice-looking lady. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
But I remembered her even from Labyrinth and and that's the thing. It's just but yeah, here they are, and I don't know, she's not that. She may be like preteen. I would say 11, 12. That's my guess. I think the older brother is probably like 16, if I'm guessing right. And there's the dad. Were they widowed? Did the mom die or something? I never heard mention of a mom on the show, but I haven't gotten that far into it.
I actually don't remember. I got to be honest with you. She didn't go with them, so you didn't know if it was just the kids and their dad.
They would keep mentioning her about how much they missed her, so I'm just wondering if that came up on the show at all.
But did they miss her because she died, or miss her because they were the ones missing?
That's gonna be a big difference. So maybe she's been passed away for a while now. I don't know. But
now, I will say this: Kathy Coleman and Wesley, I believe his last name was pronounced Eure. Eure, who played the brother and sister there. They've done conventions for years.
Oh, excellent.
They have. And Philip Pally, who played Shaka, the little Neanderthal kid or whatever. Interestingly, Philip and Kathy had worked together previously to this. They were in a commercial, and I can't remember what it was for. They played a brother and sister. In some sort of a food product commercial. I don't remember what it was.
Funny.
Yeah,
kids, they have no idea how great Saturday morning TV used to
be.
I feel bad because what were the big? I don't know if it was around in the '60s, but I know '70s, '80s, and '90s all had Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think after that, it was probably sometime in the aughts, probably the mid-aughts when it started to fade away. And that's too bad because it was, you'd get up and I remember being a kid, you'd get up early on Saturday morning and you get your bowl of cereal and you'd sit down in front of the tube and see it was on. I used to watch Alvin and the Chipmunks. I remember there was an Archie cartoon I used to watch, comics. Yeah. But
the other thing about this that's very different about Land of the Lost, there were a lot of big name science fiction writers that were pulled in to write for it. A lot of names that you'd recognize from like Star Trek, and the stories were simple in that, anybody could understand them. They weren't like super highbrow, but they were intelligent and they did cause you to think. I mean, they did some things with time travel. I mean, true time travel, like, there'd be a time loop and they had to try and get out of it and stuff like that. And it wasn't too difficult for even the youngest of kids to understand. And like I said, well thought out. Honestly, some of the writing in this show was better than some of the sci-fi we get today. Which maybe isn't a very high bar. But, I'm just saying, it was some really good stories.
Interesting. Geek Flag and Big Al remember the mom differently. I'm wondering if perhaps they changed what happened with the mom. Like, according to this, she didn't go rafting with them, but Al said that she died, so I'll have to look that up. Maybe they changed it halfway through the show and they made it so that she died when they were young. I don't know. Yeah,
and the other thing, too, is that when Spencer Milligan, after season 2, decided not to continue on, and I felt this was probably one of the weakest elements, but what else did they have to work with? They had, what? Netter's got an answer.
Yes. According to Google, the mom apparently died in a car accident before the events of the episode of the show. Okay.
Well, there you go. But when Spencer Milligan was left the show after season 2, they needed an explanation for replacing him. They weren't just going to recast him. So they did a storyline that he was able to make it out, and he was replaced by his brother, Jack, played by Ron Harper. it was one of those like balancing acts. Like, well, if one person leaves, someone else has to come in, or whatever the thing was. And it seemed kind of weak, and it was like a contrivance. And everyone, even the kids, knew it was a contrivance for the actor to leave the show. But it allowed them to continue. And nothing against Ron Harper. He was great, but we had spent 2 seasons really coming to look up to Rick Marshall, as Rick Marshall. In a lot of ways, there was a lot of similarities in that father figure to Will Robinson in what's it called? Lost in Space.
Yeah.
That strong, intelligent, survivalist kind of guy, good leader, taking care of his kids, trying to get them back home. Always lost his temper from time to time, but never in a really bad way, and was usually very even-handed.
But also gave good advice and would talk to his kids instead of at them, like with the one like Neanderthal type kid, when she's saying, let's keep him here, and he says, well, no, he can stay if he wants, but you can't keep a person.
Right, exactly.
It's not our right to own him. It's not going to be like a pet.
And then you do actually get to meet his family later on and so forth. There's this great bit where, and it's early on after meeting Chaka, you realize that he's coming over for dinner, basically, because Holly's cooking and it's good food. And whenever he comes over, Holly Chukmana? And
of course there's good food because you got all those giant fruits like giant strawberries and things like that.
Exactly.
What I found interesting though is there's a lot of imagination going in here. What I like about this is
Holly's name was supposed to be Natasha after her mom.
Oh wow! Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go.
This world, in a way, seems both familiar and alien. That's what I want to say about this, because you have the dinosaurs, you recognize those, but then you have these ancient ruins.
Right.
Who was in those ruins?
Right.
Were they people? Were they another race? Are they on Earth? Are they elsewhere? I don't know. And I kind of wish I don't want people to redo Land of the Lost. In fact, I think that's been tried with that.
They did and that was another one of those, not a faithful attempt. They made it into a comedy.
I would rather they would try to do something in the same spirit of Land of the Lost.
Right.
A family maybe gets transported to this, lost world of which has, but take some of the themes, but don't outright copy it. I think that's what they should do.
Exactly.
I think though we have this is Dynamite Magazine.
Oh yeah. We've talked about that in good old days before too. Yes. Yeah.
But there was some merchandising for this show. Probably not as much as I thought there'd be, but there was a lunchbox. Did you have this lunchbox?
I did not, but I did know somebody who did.
Yes. Yep. And look at that. I don't know if that's the other side of it. Maybe they're 2 different things on each side. Look, you got dinosaurs. Yep. I'm assuming they're trying to use a mirror to distract him.
I think that's actually
weapons, except for maybe a spear or a stick. They don't.
I am pretty sure that was an actual scene from an episode. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's
the Viewmaster. Yeah, I did have that Viewmaster. And if I'm not mistaken, okay, this is a great one that you're showing.
Who's the blonde?
I was just going to tell you. You know who that is? And this probably was also a part of the reason why little 9-year-old Troy had such a crush on Holly. That was Holly when she grew up. This was one of those time travel sorts of situations that we were talking about. It was played by Jeannie. I'm drawing a blank on her last name. She went on to be a guest star as one of the fifth columnist visitors in the original V miniseries.
Oh, I remember her. Yes, and I.
She was the one who's giving up her outfit to Michael Donovan, and he's like, "Well, you don't look like an iguana," and
she has a point.
Yeah, and she was also in an episode of Voyagers, which I believe we talked about for good old days once before. She played another Voyager that Phineas Bogg had a relationship back at the Academy.
Okay. Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
But
Remember, I do kind of have a type.
yes, I remember Dynamite Magazine. Those are two different lunchboxes because I had the second.
Oh,
Maybe they
okay.
released a different one when a new season came out. Yeah, so maybe that was for season 3.
Very likely. Very likely.
Yeah, there's the dad though. I will say this though, good father figure on this show.
Yes.
Not mean, competent, not an oaf.
Yep.
Everyone has to do their part though.
And
Everyone
the
has
thing is,
chores.
I wanted to go back to something you said about his character before when you were saying he had this way of talking to the children and not at them.
Yeah.
It was very clear that not only did he understand protecting his kids in a survival situation, but also realizing if something happens to me, they have to be able to take care of themselves. I have to teach them how to take care of themselves and each other.
Now that you mentioned Troy, I thought it always would have been cool if the Slee Stacks turned out to be the Lizards in V.
Yeah. Well, keep that in mind too, as you hear the antediluvian ideas of pre-flood civilizations and whatnot, lizard people. I mean, even in Doctor Who, they had the Silurians and so forth. That's, you wonder why that's so much a part of human modern lore,
Yeah, you have serpent people and a lot of the Cthulhu mythos. Robert E. Howard
modern politicians, stuff like that.
Okay. Anyway, I don't know if you have this. I don't think this was around at the
Is
time.
that one of those? Is that one of those stretchy, like Stretch Armstrong type things?
I don't know, but I saw a picture. Apparently,
I don't know this one. This might be a little bit more current because we have had kind of on the whole nostalgia train a lot of things coming out from nostalgia baity type producers these days. There's probably some Funko Pops out there and stuff like that, or I'm sure that Super 7 has probably done some 5 POA action figures too.
Yeah, but I don't know. It looks neat. I don't know. I'd pick one of those up maybe, but yeah. But I think that about. I mean, anything else left to say about Land of Lost? Does it have an ending? That's my last question for you.
No. We can.
Those shows never have an ending.
Yeah, I know.
They probably left it on they're dangling from a bridge or something. We're gonna. Continue on.
Yeah. They as far as we know, they never made it home. And it's the kind of thing where these days you'd probably have fans clamoring for a wrap up TV movie or something like that. By the way, not that anybody of any influence is maybe listening to this, but if any Hollywood blokes, stop by and check this out. Little advice to modern Hollywood. If you are going to go back and do a wrap-up story for something, make it an ending and leave it alone. Don't assume that because it's successful, hey, let's reboot this now. No, if you're making an ending, create the ending and walk away.
I don't know. I keep thinking if Rian Johnson was in charge, the family would have committed virtual suicide at the end. And there's the end of the show.
Yeah, exactly.
and whatever would make the audience.
Holly would be the last.
The teeth to the audience.
Holly would be the last survivor after she killed her father and made her brother look like a complete idiot.
Oh no! Better still, she would portray her family for the Slee Stacks as they have a way home, and then they end up killing her in the end. It would be something just depressing and pointless.
Anything to twist the ending on you. Yeah, exactly.
But
you realize we're kind of, by doing that, we're basically undermining the whole purpose of Good Old Days.
I'm kidding. This is why I shouldn't bring up this stuff. I'm making a joke. I mean, I don't know when our current cultural malaise will end, but I think that we're getting. Maybe there's some.
And it is making jokes like this, or put a chick in it, make it gay. It's that kind of stuff that is getting, that is winning us the culture war.
Yeah, but just leave it all in the first place, as Michael French says. All stories have a natural ending some sooner than others, but at some point they lose their
Yeah.
nerve, right?
Yeah.
Well, I often felt, and people pick on the Sopranos ending, I thought that worked because it didn't really necessarily have an ending, and neither did really TNG. It just had a really good final episode.
Yeah.
And
And
I thought that was fine.
no ending is a reasonable ending. I mean, I felt like at the end of Next Gen, they wrapped up the story they were on. They did a little bit of a look back, and you just assume that their continuing voyage continues, right? And there would be another new generation eventually. That is basically the concept behind Star Trek: The Next Generation, that the human adventure continues indefinitely. There isn't supposed to be an ending.
Yeah.
But
here we are. Let's go to the next thing.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately is an In Remembrance.
Which is why we brought this up tonight. Yeah.
Ending is a loose concept, as Supreme Court might say. You know it when you see it. Funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait a minute.
Did you miss some slides?
Your
slides are all out of place, aren't they?
No, I forgot. I didn't do the how did I miss the In Remembrance slides? I missed the In Remembrance slides.
That's okay. You can go back for Spencer Milligan. You can.
Oh my goodness!
Just go back to the family page.
I'll try to find pictures while we're talking about him.
There you go.
There we go. I can't believe I forgot the In Remembrance.
It happens. Well, I mean, it's better than going 20 minutes into your show without going live. I mean,
anyway,
you're still doing better than I am.
Here we are. In Remembrance, though. We have In Remembrance.
Yeah, and Tim says, yeah, rest in peace, Star Wars. That's not the one we meant to bring up in Remembrance, but I see what you did there, Tim.
Yeah. So, anyways, here. This is, of course... Let me go ahead and read from the article real quick, and then we can talk a little bit about that. But, excuse me, hold on, give me a moment here. I'll have to change the timestamp to 2:32. Let me raise this all the way up, because it always goes to the bottom. Okay. Hold on a second.
It's okay.
Bear with me. Okay, there we are. I don't have notes for these In Remembrances either. Just yell at me later, okay? Spencer Milligan, who starred in the 1970 Saturday morning series Land of the Lost from Sid and Marty Krofft, was a regular guest star on TV into the late 1980s, has died. He was 86. An obituary on the Hune Funeral Home website said he died April 18th, but did not provide details. Born on September 10th, 1937 in Oak Park, Illinois, Milligan was an active at local theater during the 1960s before serving a tour in the Army. His screen career began with a small role as a head change specialist in Woody Allen's futuristic 1973 comedy in which the filmmaker starred with Diane Keaton. He also appeared... in the 1974 features The Man from Clover Grove and The Photographer, serving as an associate producer on the latter. And let me see, is another thing. The following year, though, Milligan was cast as Rick Marshall in the Krofft Brothers hybrid live-action stop-motion sci-fi adventure series Land of the Lost. It focused on Rick and his kids, Will and Holly, Wesley Earer, and Kathy Coleman, who are plunged into an alternate world ruled by dinosaurs. There's your answer where it was. The trio explores the strange new land as they struggle to survive and find a way back to the world they knew. Milligan starred in the show's first two seasons from 74 to 76 before his character accidentally escapes the Land of the Lost Sans kids. The series went on for one more season with a new adult star known for its campy, low-budget style. The show has gone on to cult status. It spawned a 1990s revival series led by Timothy Bottoms that aired on ABC and later Nickelodeon, and a Razzie-winning 2009 feature that starred Will Ferrell, Danny McBride, and Anna Friel. I don't know who Anna Friel is. Her career probably got cut short because she was in that movie. I have a question for you. The remake, though, was really bad?
I'm not going to say it was bad. It's impossible for me to be impartial about it because it was a completely different tone than the original. It was mocking. It was a comedy. It didn't have any of the pathos of the original. It did no honor to the original, so it's very difficult for me to look at it as its own separate thing and say, oh yeah, it was funny and entertaining. No, it to me, it just bothered me, and I felt it never should have happened. But that's just my opinion.
Looks like Milligan continued to work regular in TV for the next decade, guested on such popular series as Gunsmoke, Beretta, McCloud, The Bionic Woman, Alice, The Dukes of Hazzard, Vegas, Hardcastle, McCormick, and Quincy, M.E. He had a 7-episode arc as Ray Gibbons on General Hospital in 1987. So he also starred as New York Jets quarterback accused of killing his sister's attacker in the 1976 movie The Keegans, and appeared in early 1980s telepicks Terror Among Us and Alcatraz, The Whole Shocking Story. So good for him. He's had a long career.
Yep.
But yeah, so I don't know if there's anything left to say. I think we covered it pretty well with him. But
well, it was nice. It was nice to be able to do the what do you call it, the good old days leading into this, because he had a bit of impact on my childhood. He was one of those great father figures in TV that I mean, it's a good thing to remember, and especially when you are when someone's passed, to just share with you. If you've never heard that name before, well, now you know who it is.
But there we have, yeah. So rest in peace, and also rest in peace.
Hold on a second.
What's wrong?
There we go. I'm sharing the pictures for you, so you can go ahead and bring up.
Yeah, I'll bring them up in a minute. But that should be.
I'll share the article now. I'm doing double duty here, so bear with me.
No, it's okay. I was looking for his picture as well while I was looking at the article. That's why I didn't realize you were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Bill Cobbs, actor in The West Wing, The Bodyguard, dies at 90.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is just. Rest in peace, Bill Cobbs. Let me go ahead and get that article up and ready. So this is from Variety. Bill Cobbs. Did you ever watch The West Wing?
I did not watch West Wing. I heard good things, but never did see it. And you always wonder, when you see these articles, are they talking about the most recent things they did, what they think is the most well-known things they did? I knew him from completely different things. Let's face it, he goes back a long way. He had appearances on Sesame Street, of all things. He was in an episode of One Life to Live that I remember. This is a character actor that I saw in just so many things. But I think that
you knew him from Star Trek.
I did. So he was in one episode of Star Trek Enterprise, and this was a crucial role in Star Trek lore. He played Dr. Emery Erickson, who was the inventor of the transporter.
Oh.
Yeah, and so in the lore, he was good friends with Jonathan Archer's father, who was one of the developers of the Warp 5 project, and had worked closely with Zephyrin Cochrane on his original Warp engine and so forth. And it kind of makes sense that once you have the levels of energy production that you can get from a warp engine, that you could then harness that for teleportation and so forth. But good bit of Star Trek lore. But again, this is Geeky Geezers, so that's the part of the geeky element. He was also he also guested in that show Lost, that I think a lot of us have seen and well, enjoyed to different degrees, I suppose.
I'm not as harsh on it as some people. But
I'm pretty harsh on the way it ended. That's for
Anyway.
sure. But yeah.
Bill Cobbs, a prolific character actor who had a 50-year career with almost 200 films and TV credits, died Tuesday at his home in Riverside, California. As representative concerned, he was 90. Among his most notable roles were on season 3 of The West Wing, where his character Alan Tatum visits the White House with his son. In the Coen Brothers, The Hudsucker Prophecy, Cobbs played Moses, the clockman who delivers the prologue at the beginning of the film. I love The Hudsucker Proxy. I don't know if you've ever seen it. But Cobbs played manager Devaney in The Bodyguard, starring Whitney Houston.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
His first television credit was 1975's Vegetable Soup, a New York Public Television educational series. What was that about? He went on to appear on shows like The Sopranos, Good Times, Sesame Street, My Wife and Kids. He also won a Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Limited Performance in a Daytime Program for the series Dino Dana in 2020. So, he made his feature film debut in 1974 as The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. That's an amazing thriller from the 1970s. I highly recommend it. He later appeared in 1979's The Hitter, 1984's Brother from Another Planet, 1997's Air Bud, I Still Know What We Did Last Summer, and 2011's The Muppets. He also played security guard Reginald in 2006's Night at the Museum, starring Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson. Yep. And as we said, he was on Star Trek Enterprise. He's one of these actors you would see show up on dozens of programs, and you're like, I know that guy.
Yep.
And
exactly right.
So I think we're kind of running the gamut of actors tonight, aren't we?
We sure are.
Different people having different roles in this thing.
Yep.
But anything left to say?
Nope, don't think so.
But let me go ahead and remove that.
No, go ahead and put it back in, because I was just going to change the tab I was sharing.
There we go. Bill Cobbs. No, not Bill Cobbs. Sorry.
Martin Mull. Yeah, I know. You're getting frazzled. Don't worry. I got you. I'll you covered.
Be okay. I don't know how this happened. I'm usually very thorough. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, but let me go ahead. We'll make do. Do you remember the first Geeky Geezers stream? And you were like, did you make notes? And I'm like, was I supposed to?
It is true. Even as I go back to like my earliest last calls, it's like, wow, I've come a long way since then. I still suck, but I suck less than I did at the beginning.
I think we all suck less, yes. But Martin Mull, we all know Martin Mull, the comedic musician and actor who starred in 1970 TV series Fernwood Tonight, and went on to appear as Colonel Mustard and Clue and on Arrested Development and Roseanne. Died Thursday in Los Angeles. He was 80. I remember Fernwood Tonight. Do you remember that?
I actually don't. I don't remember Fernwood Tonight.
It was a good comedy. I want to say, good night, FKH.
Yeah, take care, Tim.
All right. But his daughter announced his death on Instagram, writing, I am heartbroken to share that my father passed away at home on June 27th after a valiant fight against a long-term illness. He was known for excelling in every creative discipline imaginable, and also for doing Red Roof in commercials. He would
that's right. He did, funny. Didn't he?
Yes.
I'd forgotten that. Yeah.
He was never not funny. My dad would be deeply missed by his wife and daughter, by his friends and coworkers, by fellow artists and comedians and musicians, and the sign of a truly exceptional person by many, many dogs.
Yep.
I loved him tremendously. Hey, if dogs like you, you're off to a good start, right?
I would think so. Yeah, yes. Absolutely. Dogs are good judges of character.
Judges of character, sometimes.
Yeah.
Except for, I'm not going to talk about my last dog. I keep wondering if the burglar's broken, if she would wag her tail and greet them. But anyway.
There you go.
But Mull had a recurring role from 2008 to 2013 on 2.5 Men as Russell, a pharmacist who uses and sells drugs illegally, and attended Charlie's funeral in the season 9 premiere episode. The actor also recurred on Arrested Development as a rather incompetent private investigator named Gene Parmesan, who has a habit of showing up in insane disguises.
There you go.
Yeah. So I mean, he guested on Law and Order SVU as Dr. Gideon Hutton, whose denial of the existence of AIDS leads to his conviction for willful negligence in the deaths of several people. That's strange.
Well, that sounds like them trying to go after people they consider to be conspiracy theorists. But okay,
I don't know. Was that based on a true story? I know that
probably,
was ripped from the headlines, but that
probably. But their rip from the headlines is based on their
there might have been a
opinions
doctor
of
that
things,
denied
yeah.
the existence of some other disease, and then maybe
Yeah,
got it sanctioned a
possibly.
little bit. Nobody died. Well, let's turn that around. But from 1998 to 2004, he was a regular in the game show Hollywood Squares in a run of 425 episodes, many of them as the center square. I think I remember him on Hollywood Squares.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, but I don't know. Again, Martin Mull, another face I grew up with. Any of you seen the movie Clue? Who was he? Colonel Mustard? Is that what?
Yes, he was
right?
Colonel Mustard. Oh,
Yes.
he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant.
They're good, except for Golden Retrievers. They get so excited for a thief coming to the house. Yeah, well, like I said, My Bodyguard was the first movie I'd seen starring Martin Mull, and of course, Mr. Mom. It's funny. I'm going to be watching My Bodyguard very soon, actually. So
yeah.
But I didn't realize he was in that. Maybe did he play the dad or the principal or teacher at the school? Maybe in that movie. But My Bodyguard, I believe that's where the kid hires this guy to be his bodyguard because he's being bullied, right?
Yes,
He hires
exactly.
one of the tough kids in school.
Yeah.
So I don't know. See, that's a good.
And it's true. We just watched Mr. Mom for Father's Day too.
Yeah. So he's another one of these faces that we don't always see. But rest in peace, Martin Mull. But
let me
then
don't go away.
I'm not going to do nothing.
There you go. See, I got you covered.
Okay, so this is another Wonder Woman alumnus.
Yep.
And not in the way you might think. Jeannie Epper, Wonder Woman stunt double, dies at 83.
Yep.
And if we go ahead and go to Variety, give me one moment. Yeah, hold on. Now, of course, we know a lot of people in front of the camera, but they're also the stunt people that make these shows come to life. Jeannie Epper, who was a stunt double for Linda Carter in the original Wonder Woman TV series and performed stunts in many movies and TV shows, died Sunday evening at her home in Simi Valley, California. She was 83. Born in 1941, Epper went on to perform stunts in over 150 feature films like Catch Me If You Can, The Amazing Spider-Man, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, The Princess Diaries, Kill Bill Volume 2, Flight, and many more. She was featured in Amanda Michelli's 2004 documentary about stunt women, Double Dare. The movie followed Epper and fellow stunt woman Zoe Bell over several years of their stunt work. Epper was a founding member of the Stunt Women's Association of Motion Pictures in 1968, became president of the association in 1999, and remained an honorary member. She was also received a Lifetime Achievement Award in 2007 for the Taurus World Stunt Awards and was the first woman to be selected for the honor. Well, congratulations to her. So she sounds like a very influential performer in Hollywood that we just never knew about, right?
Yeah. Like I said, the first place that our crowd would know her from is one of the most omnipresent stunt figures in that old Linda Carter Wonder Woman. And you could see in this picture, I mean, she's literally holding up Linda Carter. It's obvious they had a lot of fun on. But she was in actually probably a lot of films that she was one of the stunt people in Blazing Saddles, for example. Logan's Run, The Bionic Woman, Laverne and Shirley. She was the stunt coordinator specifically on Laverne and Shirley. Yes, a lot of those pratfalls that you see, even when people are doing their own stunts, they have to have a stunt person on set making sure they're doing it safely and so forth. She was the stunt double for Tanya Roberts in Charlie's Angels. Yeah, she was actually naturally a blonde. That's a dark wig that she's wearing there. But
I wonder if she was Daryl Hannah's stunt double in Kill Bill Volume 2. That's what I'm thinking.
Very likely, because she was in Kill Bill Volume 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
The other thing that I was pointing out to people in a previous stream when we were talking a little bit about her was there is a scene that I remember very, 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 very vividly. Wonder Woman in an episode is trying to defuse a bomb, and it's one of those things where she's got to be suspended from the ceiling.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Because if she touches the floor, it's pressure sensitive. She'll set off the bomb, and she's hanging upside down by her magic lasso around her heel, and she's reaching, from her perspective, above herself for the bomb. And of course, she's wearing that bustier there, and you're wondering how exactly she's staying in that bustier, and it definitely holds your attention. And since you're probably not looking at her face during that scene, you may not notice that the beautiful woman that you are ogling may not actually be Linda Carter. It might actually be Jeannie Epper. Just saying.
This is what we call the magic of the movies.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the idea, though. Oh, look, Janet from Another Planet showed up. And also Jesse Corhardo, welcome.
Welcome. Good to see you all. Yeah.
Were you a Wonder Woman fan, Janet from Another Planet?
I think I would venture to say that just about everyone in our audience has got to be a fan to some degree at least.
But the Wonder Woman stunt double, she unfortunately passed away recently. And, Jeannie Epper.
Yep.
Dead at 83. But, again, their work lives on.
Yeah, exactly. And I like I say, I always want to shout out the people behind the scenes that you've seen and didn't even know, or you saw their work and they're the ones that made it happen. Whether it's the voice actors, the technical people, the guys that made the miniatures, right? The ones that did the makeup and special effects. That stuff is as important to you and as exciting as the individual stars in the shows that you saw. So, yeah. There you go.
But, so that'll bring us back to...
Yep.
The regular presentation, but rest in peace. And unfortunately, we have our first story of the night. Just give me one moment to get reconnoitered. And 0951.
Pretty soon you'll be doing this without having to say it out loud, right?
I'm sorry.
No. I'm not giving you guff. I'm just saying it's
the seconds which throw me off. I could do the minute,
is.
and then it's like I could put the seconds in there. I'm making notes so when people come on later, they can just skip to the parts they want to watch. You should really watch the whole thing. But again, I do apologize for the.
But sometimes it's good to watch these in bite-sized bits throughout your day.
Yes, and I need to. Yeah, so eventually I'll start cutting up some of those bits. I need to make a section of the site just for good old days. But
so
look at
Disney, who is all about equity, right? It's all about equity. Well, apparently not, because we're talking about unequal pay. In Star Wars, it's not just Star Wars, I'll tell you, but that's what we're going to focus on in this article.
All right. So, I wish... Actually, I'll be good. Documents filed by Disney have revealed that its latest Star Wars spin-off series, The Acolyte, isn't a force for equality, despite famously featuring a female-centric cast. According to the filings, in early April last year, when production of the streaming series was still in full swing, just 30% of the 695 employees are women, and women's average hourly pay was 19.4% lower than the men's. Mm-hmm. Black and international actors fill the show's ranks, leading it to being dubbed as the most inclusive and diverse live-action Star Wars project ever. It has also led to the show being negatively branded as quote-unquote woke, which some critics believe is the driving force behind its plummeting ratings on review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes. Just a day after the show launched on June 4th, its audience score stood at 50%. Since then, there has been a disturbance in the force. It goes on later to say 4 of the 8 episodes have already aired to date on Disney Plus stream platform, and the reviews have been overwhelmingly negative, so much so that the audience score is now just 14%, giving The Acolyte a lower rating than the critically panned Star Wars The Clone Wars movie and notorious 1978 Star Wars The Holiday Special, which is a regular viewing, an annual viewing on Troy Pacelli's channel.
Mm-hmm. True.
So, yes.
That is true.
The lowest score has been attributed to unjustified review bombing, with the key evidence being the Rotten Tomatoes critics score, which stands at a respectable 85%. However, closely reading the reviews and some of the most prestigious print titles reveal seriously structural problems with the show. Here we go.
Mhm.
Most of the pieces are uneven at best, if not simply underwhelming, wrote Rolling Stone. Well, USA Today, hold on, reported that the show is full of logical fallacies, hokey dialogue, and nonsensical plots. That's a charge that can perhaps be leveled at the best movies in the Star Wars saga, but other key criticisms certainly can't. Let me see, though. But it goes on later to say, as revealed, though, pre-production of the Acolyte cost $48.5 million. More was spent on the groundwork for Rogue One. Even pre-production costs of the main installments in Disney Star Wars saga weren't far off from the Acolyte. But it says spending is the only disclosure the U.S. government requires from studios. So this is all coming out because of a disclosure by the UK government because it was filmed over there. Any employer with a headcount of 250 people or more, excluding the staff of agency on their books, is also forced to disclose the differences in pay between men and women on their payroll. Not only does this show the average hourly pay of the women who worked on the Acolyte was 19.4% less than the men received, but it was also 13.5% lower when taking the middle number if hourly pay is ranked from the highest to lowest. What's more, although men outnumber women in the bottom and two middle hourly pay bands, 53% of the employees in the highest hourly pay band were also male. Inequality has been a hot topic recently for Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy, but not this kind of inequality. Defending Headland's stewardship of the Acolyte in an interview with the New York Times, she said, "I think Leslie has struggled a little bit with it. I think a lot of the people who step into Star Wars struggle with this a bit more because of the fan base being so male-dominated. They sometimes get attacked in ways that can be quite personal. Before bemoaning the lack of women in the Star Wars fan base, perhaps she should have ensured those working behind the scenes on its latest show are getting paid the same as the men. Until that happens, all they can do is hold out for a new hope." Well, that's the author's welcome, Lester, San Jose the Skeptic Tank. I was kind of surprised to hear this because I thought all the screaming behind the scenes were Disney is screaming all about equality and treating everybody, I mean, even in some ways discriminating against other things. But now I'm starting to wonder too, are people who are getting these promotion stuff even getting paid the same as other people now?
Exactly.
I mean, is this all just, I don't know, watch what they do rather than what they say?
Exactly. Well, and again, this is, I don't understand this. I know I've heard this from Valiant Renegade. There are different disclosure laws in the UK than there are in the United States. Clearly, there is more transparency in this regard in the UK, which is a shame that we don't have a clearer vision of this stuff here in the United States. In other words, you have a little bit more license to lie and hide and obfuscate if you are a big corporation here in the United States. So I am glad when we are able to expose these kinds of shenanigans.
Yeah.
Because daylight is the greatest disinfectant.
Yeah. Just Ricardo was telling you, I feel bad for people who work behind the scenes in these Star Wars Disney. I know some people, it's a dream come true, but they get to work in such shows with bad writing and the storytelling. Yeah, and I'll say this too, even with some of the actors, I mean, some actors, I'm not going to name names, maybe who's on the screen right now, but some people. But no, yeah. I made a point that with the Star Wars sequel trilogy, I have nothing against any of the actors in that sequel trilogy. I never thought any of them attacked the fans or acted unprofessionally. I didn't like the movies we're in. That doesn't mean I think that they're bad actors and that they should have their careers destroyed or anything like that. I've never had a problem with Daisy Ridley or John Boyega or Kelly Marie Tran. Because I never thought they acted out of sorts. I mean, maybe I'm wrong here, but I never heard anything about them, Even that whole thing with Kelly Marie Tran leaving Twitter, I don't know. I sometimes wonder if that was a media thing, because I think later on she said that's not why she left. That
is exactly right. In her own words, that's what she said. And it's like, look, you can believe what you want, but I tend to take people at their words when they say they did something for a certain reason. Well, who is anyone else to say otherwise?
Yeah. Disney is just like the other corporations, big hypocrites. Yeah, they can be. But yeah, I don't know. This is our first time actually talking about the Acolyte since it was rumored, right? We haven't really touched on it on Geeky Geezers at all.
I saw
know
no reason to.
It's been getting shredded by the other channels, and I figured this is just another Star Wars disaster.
Yeah,
I mean, we made a couple jokes, but yeah.
And to the extent that we can, we're going to bring up news, not rumors, not certainly not reviews. We don't do reviews here, really.
After all, I kept hearing rumors that the show wasn't going to happen, and yet it did. So
yeah, I know, right? I mean, it's amazing how that happens, and how little birdies are still considered to be great oracles. But what can I tell you?
I think I know what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Little sparrows, right? So
well, I didn't want to say it with that.
Okay, with that final point. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's your channel. You can call people by name if you want.
You know what? I'm not going to name anything else. I'm just guessing at what the bird was you were thinking about.
Exactly.
I have no idea. Mm-hmm. The Acolyte showrunner Leslie Headland cast doubt on a second season being made. So, this is this may be a
Harvey Weinstein's facilitator doesn't think she's going to get a second season. Interesting.
I wonder she was going to another talent agency. She's probably trying to secure something else while she still can. Whatever you think about Rian Johnson, him securing Knives Out right after The Last Jedi or whatever was actually very smart. Yeah. Because whether or not I wanted anything to do with that movie series, it was going to do well because it had a huge cast of Hollywood favorites in it. And it was a murder mystery, so people just went to see it regardless. So,
well, he was wise enough to establish himself as, I'm not just that Star Wars guy that everybody hates.
Yeah, well, I still would love to have him interviewed about what he was thinking, but I guess we'll never get there. Anyway.
I think it's clear enough what he was thinking. Yeah. I think it really is.
Leslie Headland, the showrunner for The Acolyte, recently cast doubt on the idea that the show will get greenlit for a second season. Speaking with Entertainment Weekly following the release of the show's 5th episode, Headland said, "Something that I've noticed is first seasons will end on what should have been the break and into Act 2. It feels like everyone really expecting their shows to get a second season. I don't feel that's a good idea." I actually agree with her on that.
Yeah.
You're really playing the dice, rolling the dice there.
Although what she's saying you can agree with, her motivation behind it, I think, is a little sus.
She then added, "I threw everything into season 1 because who knows what's going to happen, ? Okay. Despite Headland being unsure if the show will get renewed for a second season, she did inform the outlet that she has 4 or 5 major mysteries she'd like to explore if it does. The show has not performed well on any metric. Yeah, we already mentioned that about the Rotten Tomatoes score. Even the critics are lambasting this thing, so it's not just the fans. They keep attacking fans. It's not just the fans doing this. Not only are audience scores and user reviews in the dumpster, but the show's viewership is piss poor as well. The Walt Disney's company officially revealed that the show's first 2 episodes only garnered 11.1 million global views after the first 5 days of streaming on Disney+. I bet it still did better than the new Doctor Who, though.
Yeah, possibly.
Given the Walt Disney Company calculates a view by total stream time divided by runtime, global minutes viewed only comes in at 820 million minutes. That's 9 million minutes less than Ahsoka's minutes watched metric as reported by Nielsen. The big kicker is that the Nielsen only tracks in the United States. That means Ahsoka's U.S. viewership was bigger than the Acolyte's entire global viewership. And let me see here. Analytics from Lunite appear to confirm just how disastrous viewership of the Acolyte is. As reported by Variety, the show's first 2 episodes only brought in 210 million minutes watched in the United States. That's 619 million minutes less than Ahsoka. So was Ahsoka considered a hit?
Depends on who you ask and from what perspective and how you define hit.
Did it make money?
Oh, no. Absolutely not. Nothing that goes to streaming makes money. I keep pointing this out to everybody. It is a net loss whenever they create a show specifically for stream, because there is no increase in revenue from subscribers because of anything new that you put on it. The only thing that you are going to make is the marketing, the toys and the action figures. And the toys are not selling for Ahsoka. The only thing that is selling, maybe tangentially related to Ahsoka, are Rebels things, like their HasLab for the Ghost was very successful. And people are buying up those and the figures from that and so forth. So you can, but that is not directly Ahsoka that is being successful. And again, this goes back to what we've been saying about streaming. We'll be talking more about streaming later in tonight's show. But it's a net loss. It always is. If there isn't some other revenue source, if you're not putting these things out on DVD and the DVDs are selling, if you're not putting out toys that are making money, they are losing money. And I can tell you something else. Someone else who's losing money on the Acolyte, that's losing money on Ahsoka, that's losing money on all of Disney Star Wars, that's Hasbro. That's why Hasbro right now is running a HasLab for, get this, the original Star Wars Cantina. They're going back to the original show, the original movie.
The Acolyte sounds like a show that should have been focusing on the dark side point of view and how they had...
It's funny you say that, Jesse, because they kind of sort of are, but in a way that completely breaks canon. It breaks what the way the Force works, and it breaks what's already been established about existing characters.
I have a question. I'm not an expert. Released in the prior canon or whatever, the guy said, "Oh, the Sith hasn't been seen for millennia," but that didn't mean there were no Sith around. Did they operate in secret? Is that what was going on?
Well, this is the same, and this is the same kind of mental gymnastics that fans have to do with Star Trek, right? In Star Trek, there's very specific statements in canon of when different factions in Star Trek became aware of cloaking technology, for example. So for the Federation to be aware of the Romulans and or Klingons having cloaking technology before a certain date, that breaks canon. And you have to come up with some clever way. This story, these people never told anyone else, or they all died before they could share this information with the Federation, or they didn't know it was the Romulans. They just knew of the concept of cloaking technology. Same thing here. If a bunch of Jedi in the prequel say, well, the Sith have not been seen in over a millennia, then these characters can't possibly share that information with the mainline Jedi that would know about it in the era of the prequels, especially a specific individual who was on the council who said that the Sith hadn't been seen in millennia. For him to have seen them during the Acolyte and be alive at that time, and then be sitting in that council chamber, nope, they haven't been seen in over a millennia.
Well, we don't know how that's going to be resolved on this series. I'm sure they stuck him on there as a means to...
It's not going to be. They're actively trying to change Wikipedia to literally change their own canon.
Anyway, in the EU canon, Sith operated behind the scenes for several hundred years using the rule of two to remain low profile. So you could have theoretically done a Sith series about a Sith Lord and his
This is where we have to be intellectually honest, and I will speak to that specific area of canon. They have broken the rule of two so much. George Lucas himself during the prequel, when he talks about only two there are. Oh, really? Well, why do we have Plagueis and Palpatine and Darth Maul and Darth Tyrannus, all at the same time? Okay, maybe Plagueis was already gone, but you still have three. You had two apprentices, and you were working on a third in Anakin. So don't that they were really loosey-goosey with that whole rule of two. Plus, there's also the concept where those two aren't the real Sith. Us two are the real Sith. That could happen too.
Well, that happened, I think, on Clone Wars, didn't when what's his name came back, the Darth Maul.
Oh, well, there's the other thing too.
Wasn't his brother his apprentice in that? And it was
Exactly.
they were trying
Not
to
to mention that there is, and it kind of makes sense, especially based on the story that Palpatine tells Anakin. There is precedent for the Sith to come back from the dead or live beyond death and so on and so forth. So if an old Sith comes back during a time when there's two other Sith, doesn't that kind of break the rule of two as well? I mean, leading to someone having to fight it out. Yeah. So let's not get too caught up on that specific
Why not just
thing.
have other villains that the Jedi have to fight other than the Sith?
Well,
Create some new villains, some new things. That I mean, isn't that
and I think that the Disney would make the argument that that's what they're trying to do with these black magic witches or whatever, but now they're trying to.
Are they the villains or are the Jedi the villains too? And this is another thing. I mean, I'm not seeing.
Don't even get me started on that whole thing. You're absolutely right.
I'll say this though: those deep fake videos have been very funny. I have been watching those with the. With Anakin. And
Yeah.
Obi-Wan and
whoever the voice actors doing those are doing a great job too.
The funny thing about Anakin, like when he's saying about when they're making comments about the Jedi, and like he's yep, like he's agreeing with them, like it's just a sigh, like sigh. Yeah, I always knew the Jedi were bad too. It's like,
Well, and in fairness, I mean, I could see that interpretation just based on what you see in the prequels. George Lucas was not trying to say that the Jedi were evil. He was saying they became complacent, right? They may have been mistaken about some things. And to be honest with you, if you take the original 6 films in their entirety, Luke kind of in his heroism at the end of Return of the Jedi, not only justifies the true Jedi way, but he's kind of backhanding Yoda and Obi-Wan's philosophy. When forever will it dominate your destiny. Bullshit. I'm saving my father.
The EU also created the category of Dark Jedi to account for fallen Jedi, then describe the Sith philosophy. Well, that sounds like imagination, but anyway.
Well, no, it also sounds a lot like exactly what a Sith would say. I'm not a Sith. I'm a Dark Jedi. I'm not really evil. I'm a gray Jedi. I walk in between the two.
Well, or maybe it's someone worshiping Cthulhu rather than like Lucifer. So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
What Jedi defects referring? Do you know the name of that channel? I really
don't. Let me look it up while you're talking, and I'll drop a link.
Let me get to the next article. If you want to drop the link to the next article, then we
go. Sure. Then I'll do that.
Actually, you know what? If you give me a second, I might be able to find it for you. Hold on. I think I sent someone a link to this a minute ago. But I don't. Again, we started out this channel talking a lot more about Star Wars. I think we've just gotten bored of talking about it. It's a. Yes, I can send you the link to one of the videos. Give me one moment. I'll get that for you. There we go. I got it, Troy. Don't worry about it.
Okay, good.
Okay, and let me go ahead and just post that into. Do I do that on StreamYard?
Yeah, you could do it either place. It'll come up in the chat.
Oh, I don't like hearing myself repeat what I just said. That's weird.
Oh, because you're not muted on the what do you call it?
I just opened it up. All right.
And bear with me because I just realized I told you this was going to be a problem for me. The whole Capcom thing, I didn't shorten it, and
it's okay. Take your time. We're going to spend about a minute on it anyway. Because it's there's the link. And talk about not a short address.
Let me fix this. Give me a second. I will get this. I'm sorry. Yeah, little technical difficulties tonight from both sides of this geeky geezerdom. Just bear with us. There we go.
Coming up, okay? We're ready to party. I don't want to do this anymore. Capcom, yes, Jesse Garado, Capcom. In case you missed last week, we had a big news. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. Physical copies reportedly contain all games, no download required. And that almost basically says everything we need to know about the article, but I'll go ahead and say it anyway.
Right.
But hold on, let me just put down my timestamp for 10:13. I said that out loud. All right, Marvel versus Capcom.
That's okay. It's kind of like having training wheels, right? Eventually, you'll take the training wheels off. You won't have to say things out loud.
I'll find a better way to do this.
Eventually, you don't have to look at the keyboard when you type either. You get better. Don't worry.
Yeah, but I'm still like 1 or 2 finger typing. But I don't have to look at the keyboard. The Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics was recently revealed to be releasing sometime in 2024 for the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and Steam. It's also nice to know that this collection will be available as a physical release, obviously not through Steam, but so we won't have to worry about the game getting delisted from online stores later down the road. I guess
own
that's
physical media. That's a win for... Huh?
This is the worry. You buy the physical media later on after the game has been delisted, and you can't download the update patch that allows you to play the game because the game was not included on your disc.
Oh,
which has happened, unfortunately. I'm not going to name names of companies that do this regularly. Activision.
Yeah.
I think I bought the Spyro collection. Yeah, there's a beefy download because the disc I just bought doesn't have the game when it does it. It has about half the game on it. We were still working on it after we started making the discs. I'm just saying. But apparently all the games will be included on these physical releases, so that's nice. If you buy it on the Nintendo Switch or the PlayStation 4, you're all set. And as I said, it contains X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and The Punisher. You get to play The Punisher. It's a beat-em-up. And guess who the second character you can play as this if you want to play a 2-player? It's Nick Fury.
Huh.
Why the Nick Fury and the Punisher are working together? I guess they strange bedfellows.
Well, I mean, they're both soldiers. They probably, if you stretch, you can probably come up with something.
Looking forward to those Resident Evil 0 remakes. And in one of these Marvel vs. Capcom games, you can play as Jill Valentine as one of the fighters, which I thought was kind of interesting from Resident Evil. But that's pretty much it. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I thought it's neat that you're going to get all the games. It always bothers me when I buy a disc and it has a substantial download, and I wonder, well, how much of this game was actually included on the disc? And if so much of the game isn't included on the disc, why didn't I just buy it digitally? Because is there any real advantage to owning the physical copy at that point? But
true.
It's just it's our wacky, wonderful world we live in. Nintendo's pretty good about that. I mean, they will still patch games post-launch and update them, but one of the problems with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom leaking before the game release was because on the actual cards that the game was being produced on, the game was there. So I think Japanese companies do this more than Western companies. Like I said, I sometimes wonder if they're working on the game after they start producing the discs. But anyway.
Right.
Did you guys hear about MTV? They're deleting their websites, all the 80s references, videos. It's all gone. Nothing was archived. What?
Oh my God.
I will look into that for next week. That does not surprise me considering the fact that Paramount is a shit show right now. I mean, I pick on Disney and other companies.
We'll be talking more about Paramount in just a moment.
Disaster. Paramount owned MTV. That used to come with such cachet.
Yeah.
Am I wrong here?
No, you're absolutely right.
And I don't know what it devolved into now. I don't even know if it's still around now. Just pre-ordered for PS4. Also ordered a Super Famicom Classic. I'm curious what that one is. But so if you want to get yourself a hard copy of Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Classics, you'll be pleased to know they're all on there. And that'll lead us into our next article.
The Crit Awards.
Little time. Well, this is all about gaming here, right? We're all about the gaming here at
let's get
Geeky
critical about the Crit Awards.
Yeah, because I guess that's like Critical Role, right? Or critics are critical. Okay, here we go. Nominations are open. Well, not really. That's why.
Yeah, well, depends on what your political slant is, whether or not
depends
you.
Maybe on what your ethnicity is, that they would argue.
True.
It's not about that. Well, it's sounding like it is. Here we go. Let me bring this up. I think this is nuts, and I don't even know how this came about. Crit Awards nominations are open unless you're Jewish or support Israel's right to exist. There's a huge gaming convention called Gen Con that occurs every year in Indianapolis, a mecca for gaming nerds. It's also a home of gaming awards, among them the Crit Awards. There was a code of conduct section for this year's Crit Awards. 1.5 individuals who identify as Zionists, promote Zionist material, or engage in activities that without a doubt support Zionism are not eligible for nomination. Does anyone call themselves a Zionist outright?
I don't think so. I mean,
just a word that detractors of
let's be clear what Zionism is in its truest sense, right? So up until World War II, the Jewish people didn't have a nation, right? And we can get into all kinds of, thousands of years of history of the Middle East and so forth. But after what happened to the Jewish people during the Holocaust in Western Europe, right, during World War II, it was decided, you know what, these people kind of need to have their own country, right? And that was partly because of anti-Jewish sentiment. It was, we don't want you here. Go back to your own country. Oh, you don't have your own country? Let's make sure you do have a place we can send you to. That was it was actually that. But it was like, oh, okay, well, you don't want me, but I can have my own country. Okay, I will go there. So a lot of Jewish people returned to Jerusalem, right? They went back to Israel. And, actually, the interesting thing is, and this is where we start getting into opinions and whatnot, but that whole Gaza Strip, there was nobody freaking living there except, migrant people with their livestock, moving from place to place and grazing. Nobody owned any land there.
Like a nomadic thing, I guess.
Exactly right. And the Jewish people moved in and said, okay, we'll start building homes and we'll start, putting in farmland and this and that and so on and so forth. And you could do your own study on the history of, in quotes, Zionism. But, it's someplace that you can go to and live, or you can not, and we still have Jewish people that don't live there, just like there's Italian people that live in Italy. And there's people of Italian descent who live in the United States. And if I chose to go and move to Italy, I'd have to repatriate because I am not a citizen of Italy. But I could, in theory, do that. There's a reason I wouldn't want to. There's a number of reasons I wouldn't want to do that. But I'm just saying I could. What is wrong with that concept,
Yeah.
Freedom of movement in this world. The same people that want to tear down borders, and say, oh, let's just have all one world. But you can't live there.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But this is someone named Tony Katz. I don't know what this is referring to, but he goes on to say, WWE News is just fantastic. Pro wrestling returned to Indianapolis, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam. That happening over the next 8 years. This is the place to do it. This is the place to do it. And if you're not a participant, none of your wrestling's, I could appreciate that. It's not my thing. The money is my thing. The seeing economic growth is my thing, and seeing people excited, absolutely fantastic. And they are. This is good stuff in a very good way. You build the city for these kind of events. You want these kind of events. Thrilled to see, happy to see it. It's like Gen Con, right? You might not be somebody who plays games the way the people at Gen Con do, but I love that they come. But I have a question for Gen Con, because Gen Con has certainly enjoyed Indianapolis and understood the value of Indianapolis, and there's been questions, as Indianapolis big enough to handle the growing convention? And how they utilize their leverage always made sense to me, and Indianapolis has risen to the challenge, and of course has been the conversation about sorry, I lost my place. Hold on. Hold on. He goes on to talk about the Craig. Okay, because Gen Con certainly enjoyed Indianapolis, and I understand the value of Indianapolis, and there's been questions. Is Indianapolis big enough to handle the growing convention? And they utilize their leverage. Always made sense to me in Indianapolis. But then somebody sent me something about the Crit Awards. Okay, let me get this. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea what the Crit Awards are at all. I don't know what this is. Well, there are awards that are given in the world of tabletop RPG and tabletop role-playing games. There are these awards that this group, I guess, puts out to people who have created games, and the Crit Awards voting is open. We're going to hand out the awards at Gen Con, and they write, "We are Crit." The Crit Awards want to be very clear in our stance and address an updated portion of our code of conduct clarity. This is what they put out on social media. Individuals who identify as Zionists, promote Zionist material, or engage in activities that without a doubt support Zionism are not eligible for nomination. Wow, this is the place you decide. Hey, we like the gamers and we like gaming, but we like when people create games. But for clarity, no Jews. What are they doing? Why? What's wrong with you? Oh wait, we clearly know what's wrong with you. And Tony continues. But then they put out another post. Due to recent events and the attention that we received, it is with an extremely heavy heart and much disappointment that the Crit Awards will be unable to return to Gen Con for 2024 event due to safety concerns. Would you shut it? Safety concerns? You announce no dirty Jews welcome, and then people go, what the hell is wrong with you? And you're like, oh, our safety is threatened. What nonsense? What nonsense is this? And he goes on to continue. Now, I have a question for Gen Con, because I don't blame Gen Con for this, because I don't think that's how they are connected. So that's first. I want to get the understanding from Gen Con about how these things are connected. But you had questions about Indiana regarding abortion. You would never allow this in any other context. What is the plan here? And I do believe that some definition, some explanations is necessary. And so much that if Gen Con believes it should be silent over this, I wonder whether we should have an open hand and open arms for Gen Con. I understand what they bring to the city. I understand how much it matters, but some things matter more, don't they?
Here's what it comes down to. If you have whatever it is, an award group, if you've got a gaming convention, if you've got a whatever, okay? If you're going to start making intersectional decisions and say, these people won't be allowed, okay? So, you know what? Let's do away. No Jews can come to this thing. No conservatives can come to this thing. You know what? Let's keep everyone who's a straight male out of it. Let's say everyone who likes chocolate pudding can't come. Everybody who likes anchovies on pizza, they can't come. Eventually you get down to only 2 people can buy tickets to your thing.
Okay.
How long do you think you're going to continue to be in business?
So this is what I really don't understand this band. By the way, Tony Katz is a radio personality out there in Indianapolis.
There you go.
But I did have a question though. What does this have to do with giving an award? And how are you finding out how they're pro this or pro that? Are you on Twitter digging into who's creating these games and going into their personal accounts and where they stand on certain political issues? So that's what I don't understand about this.
It's because the Crit Awards specifically said you will be uneligible if you are, this is their official stance.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the problem.
And there's another article if you want to post that.
I did.
Okay,
yep.
Sorry about that.
When you mentioned Gen Con, I posted it. And this caused, and keep in mind that this is from the perspective of Crit. This is not from the perspective of Gen Con. So I wonder if there's more going on behind the scenes where Gen Con says, this isn't something we want to wade into. Maybe you shouldn't come. I'm not saying they did say that, but I'm wondering if that's not the
like
this isn't the spin they're doing it. Yeah, exactly.
This year. On June 14th,
I may be giving Gen Con too much credit, to be honest with you, but it's just a speculation on my part.
Well, to be fair, even the Ray House, he doesn't know. He'd like more answers from Gen Con, but he's not necessarily blaming them for this. I think he was saying that. On June 14th, the Crit Awards and Awards Group dedicated announced the update of their code of conduct via social media posts on X. And individuals identify as Zionists, promote Zionists, or engage in activities that without a support Zionism are not an eligible nomination. I assume wanting hostages back might include that.
Yeah. Heaven forbid you should want, your prisoner of war return, your sisters and daughters to not be, essayed to death. What's wrong with you people?
But it said last night, exactly 10 days after a code of conduct change, the Crit Awards announced they will not be attending Gen Con 2024, citing safety concerns for those planning on attending. The Crit Awards have confirmed that tickets purchased will be refunded and that any nominees are free to remove their participation in the event, as they understand the situation can be extremely mentally taxing and difficult in ways that many find unexpected. Last, the awards board will be hosting a virtual event. I don't even. Again, you're the ones that made this.
I know, that's exactly it. It's like, why is this even an issue when you're talking about, tabletop gaming?
RPGs.
Why does real world politics and what side of a war you're on have anything to do with, a Dungeons and Dragons game or some other kind of role playing game?
I mean, not that I'm even saying they should do this, but even if they found some guy that made a game and they had these controversial points, couldn't they just not nominate that game and not say anything?
Yeah. And that has nothing to do with the games, though. That's the problem. It's if you create this game that has nothing to do with any of this, but you yourself hold an opinion we don't like, we want to exclude you. That's literally what they're doing.
Crit Awards departure has led to other creators and panelists either pulling out of Gen Con 24, denouncing the Crit Awards departure. Voice actor, cultural consultant, actual play producer KP Apadulala has announced he will not be attending out of solidarity with the Crit Awards. See, I'm not into.
And good. I would say pay very close attention to the people that won't be there. They're the people you probably don't want to do business with because they don't like you. They don't. And even if it has nothing, even if you have no strong opinions about the Palestine Israel thing, it is possible that someday you will have an opinion these people won't like, and they will want to exclude you. So maybe you don't want to do business with people that are like that.
Part of it is that tabletop RPGs developers are a tiny, insular community of a couple of thousand people worldwide. Much like Hollywood directors, bullying and groupthink are very common there. Mm-hmm. So they tend to know what each other think about most subjects through the rumor mill. Rim Jim is a YouTuber and tabletop RPGs, talks about it a couple times, so he may be the one to go to for more details on this. I know you kind of left this scene a while ago after TSR started up in their shenanigans, but I know you regularly play RPGs, and I thought this.
And I think this actually goes beyond what Wizards has done with Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, I don't think Wizards is weighing into the conflict.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Because they're a separate gaming group that might be up for an award. I don't know, but yeah, not only does Wizards have nothing to do with this, but Gen Con doesn't have anything to do with this. Are they going to
start excluding religious groups from rewards? I mean, where does this end when you start excluding?
Where it ends is companies like Crit going out of business, and the community denouncing them and saying, "Look, you're the one who chose to draw lines. Therefore, we don't want to have anything to do with you." And you lose your relevance in our community, and you go out of business.
Yeah. So I just thought this was ridiculous. Apparently, people were screaming about something with Gen Con. I don't know if it's about this or if something worse happened since I...
Oh, Gen Con has all kinds of other issues that we won't bring up tonight, but at least in this regard, they seem to be fairly blameless, or at least aren't in the splash zone, so to speak.
Literally the only landmine Hasbro and the WOTC haven't stepped into is the Crit Awards. Okay, well.
Yeah, exactly right, Horizon Talk.
Everyone can be right once, right?
Basically, well, at least in this they're not wrong because they haven't waded into this. If they decide to take a stand on this, I can guarantee they'll stick their foot in their own mouths. But and as long as they're silent about it, they're doing okay.
This is ridiculous. And I do want to mention that there are still American hostages over there.
And I do want to point out that unless you are directly involved in these political issues, if you are a company that wants to stay in business, maybe just shut your mouth and stay out of things that have nothing to do with your business.
Yeah.
Okay? Just a word to the wise,
But let's move on to maybe perhaps sunnier subjects.
At least interesting. This
So
isn't something I particularly have a dog in the hunt on, but it sounds good to me.
I kind of do. I did read the books,
Mm-hmm.
and the
I
Harry
saw
Potter.
some of the movies. I kind of fell asleep during most of them. I've actually enjoyed some of the lore videos that I've seen on YouTube.
The movies, especially the later movies, kind of dropped the ball.
Did they?
I would
Okay.
argue the first three are okay adaptations, and then after that, for starters, Goblet of Fire, they had to cut out a bunch of stuff in that one. They had to keep cutting stuff, and sometimes they would cut stuff out of the books that, in my opinion, made no sense to cut
But
out.
that is probably the best the argument for this
TV
series that's coming, because
Yes.
you can take and do all those books all over again with all the stuff that was originally cut out of it.
So, Jessigrado, not interested. Well, I guess not everyone's interested in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I was never an obsessive fan, but I did read the books as they came out. Because
I'll be honest with you, this is the kind of thing where even if I'm not into it, I totally get why people would be, and definitely don't want to, yuck their yum. Because, especially, over there in the Universal world where they got the
Yes.
Harry Potter world and everything. It's
Big
like,
deal.
I wish we had something like that for Star Wars.
That's what it was supposed. That's what Galaxy's Edge was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be,
Supposed to be
yeah,
Disney
exactly.
Panthers of the Harry Potter land, and they just
It fell very, very,
Universal
very
is
short.
just kicking ass with theme parks. We're going to get into one of the
We will
things
get into that later, yeah.
Here's the thing that I thought the movies missed that the books had in spades was that British wit. English wit. You watch plenty of British programming, and
I think that has to do with the author, to be
Yes.
honest with
Yes.
you. If you pay attention to her on social media, she's got a sharp wit, and I admire that.
But I remember one of the beginning books when the Dursleys, that Harry Potter has a stepbrother, or maybe his cousin Dudley, because they are related.
Yeah.
And I guess his parents made him go on a diet, and he was all angry, and in the book, J.K. Rowling wrote he threw his PlayStation 1 out the window, and Harry thought, wow, he's not going to have Mutant Megalomaniac 5 to play to distract him from being on a diet. And that's what Harry was always treated poorly. Like he never, I think one time when they were at the park, they went to a zoo, I think, in the first novel, and they had to, they were getting ice cream for Dudley and them, so they had to get Harry something or it would look bad. So they got him the cheapest thing, but he said he liked the lemon popsicle fine. It was better than most things they gave him. So.
I suppose. I like that Horizon Talker says, hey, group trip to Nintendo World in 2025? I wish we could do that.
I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of stuff coming to Universal. We're going to talk about another park they're open in the same park is going to be this other.
I'll tell you what, if there's going to be a group trip down there, I think that Age of Boomer's going to have to host it because, this is his territory.
Dude, I'm just going to say, where I live is 3 hours away.
It's closer than me. I'm more than 30 hours away, dude.
Plus my own personal living combinations right now, they're not as bad as Harry Potter's, but they're not far off. He lived under the stairs in a little room under the stairs in the house.
Well, at least he didn't live under the stairs in a flood zone.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. We're not out of the woods yet. I don't want to hear anyone. Any of these streams says, hey, you guys lucked out this year. I mean, I pick on Birdman.
Not out of the woods. You're not out of the Gulf yet.
I pick on Birdman for this, but I remember when I was on a stream with him, he went, hey, you guys are doing pretty good with the hurricanes. You haven't got any hurricanes yet. And I think it was like late September, early October, and I said, we're not out of the season yet.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
What happens 2 weeks later?
You got nailed.
Oh, man. Direct hit. Which all the newspapers conveniently, they love talking about how badly we got hit, and then they abandoned us right after.
Look, I can't pick on this guy too much because the fact is, he knew the dangers. I told him, get out of there, get out of there. He goes, I can't. I got to stay and take care of people that can't get out of here.
Yes,
he literally stayed in a shelter taking care of people when he could have left and protected himself. No. This guy is a hero.
No, let's not go.
See, that's exactly what a hero would say.
Oh my goodness!
Age
Anyway,
of Boomer is my hero.
See,
Anyway, moving right along and feeling.
This is not me joking with him for once. This is me being genuine and him, trying to poo-poo it.
This is what's funny though. I was saying moving right along, feeling fancy free, and I think Disney had the Muppets. And to be fair, Disney, they had a cool Muppet section in Hollywood Studios, and they had a cool Muppet little ride. Not a ride; it was a show you would go see at the show. They did a good job with that. I'll say that. And anyway, HBO's long-standing Harry Potter series has locked in 2 key members of its creative team. The series has named Francesca Gardner as its writer and showrunner, and tapped Mark Millard to direct multiple episodes. Both are Emmy winners, and for HBO's Succession, Gardner was part of that show's producing team, and Millard both director and producer. Gardner's credits as a writer and producer also include his Dark Materials at HBO, Killing Eve at BBC America, and The Rook at Starz. Millard has directed episodes of Game of Thrones and the upcoming 2nd season of The Last of Us for HBO, as well as feature film The Menu and Showtime's Shameless and The Affair, among others. The Potter series was originally slated for Max, where it had been in development since 2021. As part of a strategy and branding shift for its streamer and its Warner Brothers Discovery sibling HBO, however, the series, along with the It prequel, Welcome to Derry, and just ordered DC Studios drama Lanterns, will become HBO originals, meaning they'll air on cable channel as well as stream on Max. Which means that Max is simply a streaming platform for HBO, which is what it always should have been. And don't get me started. The Harry Potter series will be a faithful adaptation of author J.K. Rowling's mega-selling fantasy series about the young British wizard. Per HBO, the series will feature a new cast to lead a new generation of fandom, full of fantastic detail and much-loved characters Harry Potter fans have loved for over 25 years. I personally think this is a smart idea. When they originally said they were going to redo the movies, that was the rumor going out, that horrible idea. But a series makes sense to me, because you can actually do the full books. I think each season will probably be a book, and probably with the final book being
actually
part 1 and part 2.
If I was a showrunner on this, I would not lock myself into that. I would be open to the possibility of going multiple seasons on a book if it's necessary to fit all the material in I want to fit in.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, there were characters they had to exclude from the movies, like Peeves the Poltergeist, who was always in the books, but you never saw him.
It's bad enough that the last 2 books were literally a part 1 and part 2 of one story. Yeah. Start going multiple seasons if you have to. This is why, this idea that you want a series to go on indefinitely, when you've got a book series this long, it could almost go on indefinitely, and you haven't even gotten to the end of your book series.
If any Harry Potter needed 2 parts, it was the Goblet of Fire.
Yes. Yeah, fair enough.
That was a very long book when it came out, and that was very truncated for the movie forms. That's when I think the movie started to slip. It was with Goblet of Fire, and don't get me started on Half-Blood Prince. That was one of the worst novel to movie adaptations I've ever seen. But look, I think this is a smart moneymaker for Warner Media and for HBO. And I think this is a good way to rejuvenate the J.K. Rowling universe after the Fantastic Beasts thing completely fell apart, because they got rid of Johnny Depp, among other reasons, but that was the big one.
Yeah.
Go to all the trouble of having him be your main villain, and then you get rid of him because of a stupid allegation that was proven false.
Not only that, there is, and this has nothing to do with any of that behind the scenes stuff. It's my questioning on the world building. When you start getting into, and I understand them doing this, it on its face makes sense. If you're going to now go to the first, you're going to do a prequel, right? So it takes place before, and you're going to go to the United States where. Yeah, I mean, apparently there's a school there too, and magic is still a thing.
Yes, no, it was mentioned in the Harry Potter books.
Right, exactly.
It was located in Salem, Massachusetts. Of course, it is.
But what they end up doing is causing you to start asking questions about and this comes from my watching, the lore videos, though. I forget who those 2 brothers are. Netter and I used to watch their videos all the time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, the 2 YouTubers. YouTubers. Yeah. they start every video out with, "Hey, brother." I forget their name. Maybe someone in the chat knows. But they have these great lore videos, and they start, asking questions like, well, if this happens, then does that mean, and da-da-da-da, and this and that. And I don't know. I guess sometimes those are fun, but yeah, I felt like the filmmakers that did those Fantastic Beasts movies were not really necessarily paying attention to those kinds of lore things.
Yeah.
Maybe not as well as even
Super Carlin Brothers.
The Super Carlin Brothers. Thank you very much, Netter. Maybe not even as much as J.K. Rowling herself. Honestly, I don't know how much J.K. Rowling is being pedantic about her own continuity. She's definitely not falling into the same trap that George R.R. Martin has of getting too much into the world building and too pedantic about the details.
She's pretty. She gets in there. She was wanting to make an encyclopedia at one point, just detailing everything in the Harry Potter world. That was a project.
She should have, for no other reason, just for herself. But damn, that would make for great marketing, because that's something else you could publish.
I'll give her props. I mean, whether or not you agree with some of her creative decisions, she does explain things. Like I found certain things about the Fantastic Beasts movies interesting. I'm not going to say they were perfect movies, but I did like how in the United States they had a capital punishment, unlike, I guess, in England. The English was, because the wizarding community in the United States was different than the wizarding community in England.
Right.
And they would use the pensive as a means of execution. The pensive in those movies was how they would retrieve memories, and you would live in someone's memories. They figured out a way to make that a lethal weapon in the United States, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, and it definitely,
yes,
it definitely kind of speaks to the real world differences between cultures and how it might play out in a fantasy world like this. I think it's like
in the United States, wizards and wizards were forbidden from marrying, whereas it was allowed in other countries. You could marry a regular person if you were a wizard. You'd have to live in the community, but not in the United States.
And when you do that, you look at real world analogs, right? Why would we allow, for example, wizards and non-wizards to get married if we don't even allow, people of different races to marry, right?
Well,
the same kind of.
Well, it's funny though, because I don't think the wizard community cared about race. So it was, but their bigotry is different. There's bigotry that exists in the wizard community that's different than bigotry that exists in the real world. That's what you get from these books.
Right.
But
culture's still going to cross over, right? So you're still going to have that difference in the United States as opposed to, say, England or whatever.
Yeah. But, and of course, J.K. Rowling always had the problem. A lot of her main bad guy villains tend to be based on a certain mustache man or inspired, which you see in Doctor Who as well. I guess the English really hated. They might have hated him more than we did in the United States, which is saying a lot. But yeah. But anyway,
Look, when you've got a country actually actively bombing your country, you're not going to be too fond of them, I think.
But Parent Stories, the origin of the Phoenix fighting the original. Yeah, but they ended up. It was the interesting prequel idea was Harry's Parent Stories. I thought they were going to go there, but they went. They did it supposed to be, but it had a young Dumbledore in it instead. But I don't know if they eventually would have gotten to Harry's parents. But anyway, I'm talking too much, and let's move on. I think the Harry Potter series will be a hit. It's theirs to mess up. Okay, you've been handed the golden goose. Don't kill it.
Yeah, exactly.
You almost did it last time. I know the woman that screwed up Fantastic Beasts was let go from Warner Brothers. So, oh no.
Yeah. Speaking of killing a golden goose, or multiple golden geese.
Just I have never. I don't understand. I actually like to tune into Midnight's Edge when they talk about Paramount, because to hear like even the more seasoned people talking about this is I have no idea. I have no idea what Paramount is doing.
Exactly.
You need to be lowering the price of Paramount Plus, not increasing it. That's my advice, but don't listen to me.
I would make it absolutely free with ads, and that's it.
Yeah. As Paramount Global looks to push its streaming business into the black, it's hiking the prices for most of Paramount Plus plans later this summer. The price of the ad-free Paramount Plus with Showtime plan will increase by $1 to $12.99 a month. The Paramount Plus Essential plan with ads will increase by $2 to $7.99 a month for all new subscribers. The new pricing will be effective August 20th for all new Paramount Plus customers. For existing Paramount Plus with Showtime subscribers, the new price will go into effect with their next billing date on or after September 20th. Existing monthly subscribers to Paramount Plus Essential will continue to receive their subscription at the current price of $5.99, and pricing annual subscription plans for both tiers remain unchanged. Paramount Plus with Showtime is $119.98 a year. Paramount Plus Essential is $59.99 a year. According to the company. Meanwhile, current subscribers with the Legacy Paramount Plus limited commercial plan will see their price increase by $1 to $7.99 per month, or customers could simply just go on Tubi and watch tons of free content for free, as long as you like progressive ads.
Well, this is another example of, let's play a game of what happens next, right? They used to do this in Sesame Street. You'd have the Muppet sitting in a chair, and someone would say, "Well, what do you think would happen if I sawed off one of the legs off of this chair that you're sitting on?" "Well, if you saw the leg off of this chair, I'm going to fall down." And it was teaching kids to think through, cause and effect and what happens next. Well, maybe these executives of these companies need to think through what happens next. Let's see. I have a struggling, barely getting by as it is, not really making a profit streaming service. Therefore, what I need to do to make more money is raise the prices. Well, what happens next? What happens next is the people that are paying, what did you say, $12 or whatever for no ads?
Yeah.
Yeah, is it worth it for me to pay more money to not see ads? No, maybe it's not. Maybe I cancel this and drop down to ads, but I still have to pay when I'm getting ads? Wait, is there anything really on Paramount that I want to watch that I'm willing to pay for? This is the kind of thought process that is going through the American mind. And look, we got to look at the economy right now with inflation at an all-time high. This is something that people are focusing on a lot in an election year. People are starting to look at, do I buy my medication? Do I pay my mortgage? Do I buy food? Or do I pay for ad-free Paramount?
Especially when you can get Tubi for free. Not that I work
right.
for Tubi. I'm just saying that Tubi in many respects has all the stuff I was expecting a lot of these pay services to have.
Yes.
Like, I want to watch all these old classic shows if you don't have new compelling stuff.
It boggles my mind when I think of a movie or I think of a TV show and I go, you know what? Let me just see where to watch. Tubi. Oh, yes, please. Add that to my list.
Money for Nothing by Dire Straits came to mind when you said Paramount Plus is going up. Is that the song they say I want my MTV? And think about Paramount owned MTV. What is MTV doing lately? What is any? I don't understand this company right now. They got slimed with that Nickelodeon documentary that came out.
Oh, they got Yeah, I see what you did there.
That's their kid-friendly side, which got hit.
Yeah,
I don't think they can get a sales deal going on. I think they're going to sell for less than what they were going to sell.
Well, and it's like I've been saying so much about the only thing they have that's of any value is Star Trek, and that's completely worthless.
Well, the old Star Trek shows are on Paramount Plus. Granted, you can still get those in physical media or.
You're better off because there's no commercials with that.
Well, I'm annoyed too, though, with the whole Star Trek thing, because they've only remastered original series, they've only remastered TNG, and I don't think they had to remaster Enterprise because that was already being made for HD, so that was okay. But the Deep Space Nine and Voyager are still SD quality shows, and the trouble is, maybe they're upscaled, but they didn't bother going to the trouble of remastering those.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And did the TNG
Robert Meyer Burnett has talked a lot because he worked on the upscaling projects, the restoration projects, and it is a little bit of a challenge, but it's unfortunate. It really is.
I want to speak to what deleted scenes say. I hear good things about Yellowstone. I like what I've seen of Tulsa King. They're on Paramount Plus. Maybe that. Tulsa King was great, excellent. I watched the first season of that. I'm still waiting for season 2, and maybe if that comes back, I'll get it for a month and then get rid of it because I've gotten rid of my Paramount Plus finally. But it's just
again,
yeah.
there's another thing that you just pointed out that these streaming services have a problem with that we haven't talked about in a while, and that's the churn. Right? I tune in for 1 month, binge whatever show I want, and then I'm done. You don't get a year's subscription from me. You get 1 month.
Also, in response to Yellowstone, I don't know, maybe it's on Paramount Plus now. When Paramount Plus debuted, they didn't have the rights to stream Yellowstone. That went to, I think, Peacock. Because they had already made a deal prior with somebody else before they decided to make their own streaming service. So they had to go to Taylor Sheridan and said, listen, since we can't get Yellowstone, make some other series set in the Yellowstone universe. And they were 1883 and I think 1916 or something like that. So I heard those were good shows, but it just goes to show they didn't, their own big hit show, they didn't even have exclusive streaming rights to. They couldn't show it on their own streaming service, which makes me think, I don't know why they tried. I don't know why they weren't like Sony and they just didn't try licensing out their stuff to other streaming services. That would have been instant revenue. And they could have had them on Netflix or had them elsewhere, and they'd be in a much better position. I don't know why Paramount needed a streaming service. Did they think they were going to be number 1 or number 2 or number 3? What was the logic behind any of this? Even Peacock's business model made more sense than this because I think they had free tiers, or at least they explored those. I don't know. I would like to watch those, but it'll be for a minute before I can afford Paramount for 2 series. I'm going to tell you another thing Curtis Selby. Not that I want to tell you what to do, but I will get Paramount points for one thing. All their streaming series, they do get physical releases on DVD, and sometimes your local public library gets those physical releases too. And if you have a library card, you can get them out and watch them at home and not have to subscribe to Paramount Plus. Tulsa King was excellent. It was a good Stallone series. But go ahead and next article I believe is Heretic, right? So we will go ahead and you can go ahead and take a breather.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Got a couple horror ones here. This is for Heretic. This is at the 10:55 moment, which I said I was going to stop doing this. All right. Hugh Grant imprisons his house guests in chilling Heretic trailer. Deleted scene shared this with us. I believe it was on we were on Sparkwood 21 this Tuesday. But this is a new horror film from A24. So Hugh Grant has a unique strategy for discouraging unsolicited visitors in the first trailer for A24's psychological horror feature, Heretic. The movie from writer-director Scott Beck and Brian Woods hits theaters November 15th. Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East co-stars as 2 Christian missionaries who are invited into the house of Mr. Reed after knocking on his door, but they soon realize that the sinister homeowner isn't about to let them leave. I won't keep you if you wish to leave, Grant tells his pair of guests in the trailer as he leads them to 2 closed doors, but I want you to choose which door to go through based on your faith. Later, Grant has a message of warning for the women. It will make your hearts beat faster, he teases. It may even make you want to die. Beck and Woods, who broke out through their work on the script for 2018's horror hit A Quiet Place, more recently wrote The Boogeyman, and director Adam Driver in the action film 65. With both titles released last year, they serve as producers on Heretic alongside Julia Giossi, Stacey Sher, and Jeanette Volturno. Grant's recent films include Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, Wonka, and Unfrosted. So, yes, he was the Oompa Loompa in the latest Wonka movie.
This is where we know him from, his Wonkas.
I know him from a lot of other movies. He was in About a Boy. You ever see About a Boy? That was a good little British film.
He was also one of the doctors in Curse of Fatal Death with Rowan Atkinson.
Oh, that's interesting. He could have played the Doctor, I'm sure. But Aged Boomer, Simple Answer, all Paramounts is a good example of stupid is what stupid does. I have no idea. Yeah. They're acting like Warner Brothers did years ago, but nobody got fired. I mean, finally they fired the head of them, but did they replace him? Heretic sounds like Warhammer 40K miniseries. Well, I don't know who's supposed to be the heretic. Is it the guy they're interviewing, or is it the Christian missionaries?
This is
them heretics because they believe.
My impression
Jehovah's Witnesses. That's what I think they're supposed to be.
Yes, exactly. My impression of this is. Just on the surface, let's go with this. It looks like a great a thriller, horror thriller, right? In the vein of like, I don't know, Saw or something like, or Hostel or something like that, right? Not a supernatural thing, but
psychological horror.
Psychological, yeah.
Maybe it won't be gory. I don't know.
I expect it to be a bit. It implies that it's going to be a bit gory, but
you don't know.
I see, like you said, psychological horror. I think what they're going to do is they're going to deconstruct and dissect, faith. And I think this is where they start to walk a tightrope with the subject matter. Could be very challenging for some people, but maybe that's part of the intent of the story. It's like. Are you willing to, go through hell literally and figuratively for your faith?
If you think about early Christians, especially during the Roman era when they were being thrown in Colosseums against lions, I mean, that was a big thing.
There's also something to be said for the whole concept of persecution.
Yeah.
When it says, consider yourself blessed to be persecuted for the faith. Persecuted back in the first century was something very different from what people think, persecution is today. Oh, someone said some bad words about me on the internet, or people don't like me because I'm a person of faith. I'm persecuted. Well, I mean, I suppose technically, but
think about certain religious groups living in China right now.
Yeah. Are you literally risking your life for your faith?
But it looks interesting. I'll say that. So I'll keep an eye out. A24 movies are always weird. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. So, but I'm intrigued. It's interesting seeing Hugh Grant in this type of role too.
Yeah.
And maybe he won't end up being the villain. I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's kind of creepy that he locks him inside the house. So maybe I shouldn't be trusting him too much. But I don't know.
Well, I mean, based on what we've seen, it's very clear that he is the villain. But you're right. You never know what kind of a switcheroo they might pull on us.
Don't forget 4 weddings.
4 weddings and a funeral. That's right. I forgot that. Yeah.
Don't start sewing.
Yeah, Human Centipede.
I've never seen that one, and I'm trying not to. I'm sure Deleted Scenes has because he watches everything. But
not only is that a horribly gross film, but anybody who knows anything about basic medicine looks at that and goes, no. That's
just a no.
Yeah.
Let's not go there. That should have been a short film at best, right? Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Actually, you're probably right.
But we also have Nosferatu, and I think I made sure Troy watched this before the stream because this one looks interesting. I was almost arguing that this is that this looks like a wonderful Dracula movie that I'm so happy Universal is starting their Dark Universe off with.
Yeah, kind of right.
Actually, it is released by Focus Features, which is technically owned by Universal. So go figure.
Yeah.
So technically, I guess maybe a couple steps away, but it is a Universal horror movie after a fashion. Focus Features on Monday morning debuted the first trailer for one of this year's most anticipated horror films, the gothic horror Nosferatu from filmmaker Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse, which is slated for release on Wednesday, December 25th, 2024. Written and directed by Eggers, Nosferatu is billed as a gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman, Lily Rose Depp, and the terrifying vampire Bill Skarsgård, infatuated with her, causing untold horror in its wake. Others in the star-studded cast include Nicholas Hoult. I thought that was Nicholas Hoult. He was in Renfield. And Aaron Taylor Johnson, Emma Corrin, Ralph Ineson, Simon McBurney, and William Dafoe. William Dafoe reminds me of Van Helsing in this.
Yes, he's playing the Van Helsing
Is he
analog. Yeah.
Yes. Nosferatu marks Eggers' second film for Focus Features on the heels of his Viking epic The Northman, co-financed by Focus and the Regency, which grossed $70 million worldwide. Eggers produced alongside Chris Columbus and Eleanor Columbus, Jeff Robidoff, and John Graham. Previously, Columbus served as EP on Eggers' The Witch and The Lighthouse. I have seen both of those. The Lighthouse is a weird one. You're gonna love it or hate it. I think deleted scenes probably fell in the latter category, but I think even he and I would agree that William Dafoe's performance in it is fantastic. Think about a turn of the century sea shanty captain. You know, all the cliches. Yeah, he perfection with that. He was just New England sea captain, basically. Just yeah. But I don't know. I think the trailer looks pretty interesting. In fact, it looks almost like a callback to old Gothic horror movies, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that that's what this is.
Yeah.
I like a good old-fashioned Gothic horror movie, and this is
the one thing I want to say about Nosferatu is, and you have to look back historically. This is kind of interesting.
Yes.
So when the original Nosferatu film was created. It literally was a direct copyright ripoff of Dracula.
Yep.
And Bram Stoker's widow went after them for it, and
she wanted the film destroyed.
And the film almost completely was destroyed. The fact that it still exists today is almost an accident. It's one of those. It was potentially lost media that we still have to this day. And now, because both Dracula, Bram Stoker's novel, and the original film, Nosferatu, are both now beyond the point in age that they are both now public domain, you have a situation where a copyright infringement has become public domain along with the thing that it was copying. So anybody who wants to can do a Dracula film. Nobody owns Dracula. Anyone who wants to can do Nosferatu. Nobody owns that any longer. So
25% different Dracula, laugh out loud. Yeah, basically.
You know what? That's pretty much true. All they did was they changed all the names and to some degree the settings. They also a little bit changed the nature of the vampire, but not much. They did a big focus on the vampire bringing plague with it and controlling rats. They focused more on that than the original novel did. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's all pretty much the same story.
Dracula became Count Orlok, yes.
Yep, Count Orlok.
But I'm keeping my fingers crossed. This may be a winner. Comes out December 25th, Christmas Day. So those wanting a nice movie to see on Christmas.
That is interesting.
Maybe antithetical, maybe the complete opposite of what you're celebrating on Christmas.
I have promised this before, and I've never gotten around to it. Maybe this year for sure. I will do a stream specifically talking about ghost stories at Christmas time and the tradition thereof.
Considering what the vampire represents, I think, in Christianity, too, it's basically the exact opposite of what...
That's kind of true. You're kind of right. Yeah, absolutely.
I think I was watching something where they say, what was it? Like, Jesus died so that we would have eternal life, shed his blood so we'd have eternal life. Vampires take our blood so they have eternal life.
Exactly.
It's like almost an inverse.
It's an inversion of the whole concept of the crucifixion and the Eucharist. Yeah.
All right. So moving on, we got to get through these. Sorry, it's getting late. You like my little picture there?
Yeah. That's
the world's largest movie. We're just going to touch on this for a minute. Hold on. I know Troy's probably looking forward to this, but I'll do a few paragraphs. Okay. Universal Music Group announced a partnership with an AI music tech startup called Sound Labs on Tuesday, with the largest music company in the world set to use the deal to offer AI voice model tech to its roster in the coming months. UMG's artists and record producers will be able to use Sound Labs' upcoming feature called Mic Drop starting later this summer. And as the companies said in their announcement, the platform allows artists to make voice models of their own using data the artists provide. Sound Labs gives the artist control over the ownership and use of the voice models, the company said, and the voice clones won't be made accessible to the general public. Aside from merely making a copy of a voice, Mic Drop purports to offer voice-to-instrument function, similar to the features that can make keyboards sound like a guitar or drum. Mic Drop also offers language transposition, the company said, which could help artists release songs around the world without a language barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my word.
So what's interesting here is that you are literally looking at, this is probably the positive side of this kind of technology. I think the first person who tried to use this technology, we're going back a ways. This was before the AI element existed, just the sound synthesis existed.
Yes.
Was Roger Ebert. Roger Ebert famously suffered with, and eventually we lost him to cancer.
Mouth, right? It was the mouth.
Of the mouth. Cancer, they had to remove his lower jaw.
Salivary gland, that's what he called it, yes.
Completely lost the ability to speak, but because they had so many years of his audio performances in different TV shows, radio, and so forth, they were able to recreate his voice, and they essentially gave him the same kind of computer software that was made for Stephen Hawking, but instead of a completely artificial robot voice, it was his own voice.
He went on Oprah, I believe.
Yes, exactly.
Of course, he was good friends with Oprah because he got her career started.
Yeah.
He gave her good career advice. He said, go for syndication. And she did. And that's what made her as big as she was. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so he was one of the first to do that. Then the next person that I'm aware of that they did this with was Majel Barrett. She was the voice of the computer in Star Trek The Next Generation. And she went into... this is, of course, what I was just saying about Roger Ebert. This was after he had lost the ability to speak. They went back to his old stuff and recreated his voice, and it was passable. Whereas they got Majel Barrett to go and do actual recordings of specific phonemes. Phonemes being the parts of language, basically the sounds of language. In order that a computer could then take them and create words with those words that she didn't actually have to record. Just she's recorded the parts of the word, the words, and therefore to this day, Star Trek Online and really any Star Trek show they want to do can still do the same computer voice using Majel Barrett's voice. She's the first one that I know of that did that. I can tell you now that AI exists. We have heard of a lot of celebrity voices being impersonated using these programs. But I'll tell you something else. I know of at least one YouTuber in our community, someone that you all know, and I'm not going to say who it is because
that would spoil the experiment, right?
He has, for the purposes of editing his videos, well, I guess by using his gender, at least I've cut out about half the YouTubers it could be, right?
Of course, yes.
For the purpose of editing, he has recreated his voice in AI by doing exactly what I described with Majel Barrett, so that he can just real quick type and add a line that he didn't record earlier or whatever. And he has even postulated that if he needed to put out a video when he had like a cold or, lost his voice or whatever, he could still do it. And no one would be the wiser. And no one has been the wiser. Just pointing that out, too. So this is a good use of this kind of technology, in my opinion.
I don't know, though. I'm gonna say something.
Well,
here we go. I'm gonna say
we're gonna get into that probably with the next one. I think.
I do not like the idea of someone paying money to the Elvis estate and then hearing Elvis Presley sing "Smells Like Teen Spirit."
But my question to that would be, how is that any different than anyone else who does impersonations of people? Rich Little, for example.
I don't know. I guess you have a point, but it's just
an AI doing it rather than another very talented human being doing it.
Put someone else out of a job. There we go.
That's a different argument, and I tend to agree with you on that.
All right.
You are automating something, but it's the same thing with voice acting, right? We talk about who is going to do the voice for, I don't know, Harley Quinn or for Superman or whatever, or Batman, right? Do you want someone to do a completely different voice than has been done before? Or do you want someone to be close and similar to, because let's face it, look, Superman has a look, right? He should have dark hair with a spit curl. He should be rather muscular and whatnot. Right. You don't want some blonde, scrawny kid playing Superman, right? But by the same token, if you get someone playing Batman, you want them to sound more like this. Not sound like this,
Maybe Robin can sound like that. Anyway.
Well, yeah, good point.
But what was I going to say, though? I like that picture. That's a robot from Japan. Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's get into
That's not the one with the creepy real skin, is it?
Probably.
There's a meme going around. They've created skin cells in a petri dish and make it smile. Oh God, it's nightmare fuel. It is nightmare fuel.
I am very impressed with this.
With this AI?
with this robot of Mariah Carey. It looks just like
her, right?
Oh, wait, that is her. Anyway,
but maybe not all of it's real.
Let's not pick up Mariah Carey. Come on now. All right.
I don't know. I have no way of knowing.
I think it's probably real. I don't think she uses anything. I don't know, though. Anyway.
You don't think? Yeah, okay.
Music record. Anyway, music.
I feel like Woody Allen in Sleepers. These people they didn't exist in real life. They were blow up, and then you store them away. I'll just take this and I'll give you a full report later.
Oh my goodness! I think I overdid the articles. Okay, big record companies are suing artificial intelligence song generators Suno and Udio for copyright infringement, alleging that the AI music startups are exploiting the recorded works of artists from Chuck Berry and Mariah Carey. The Recording Industry Associates of America announced the lawsuits on Monday, brought by labels including Sony Music Entertainment, Universal Music Group, and Warner Records. They said if someone's going to exploit these artists, it's going to be us. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. I didn't say that out loud.
I see what you did there.
One case was filed in federal court in Boston against Suno AI and the other in New York against Uncharted Labs, the developer of AI. Suno AI CEO Mike Schulman said in an email statement that the technology is designed to generate completely new outputs, not to memorize or regurgitate pre-existing content, and doesn't allow users to reference specific artists. Schulman said that his Cambridge, Massachusetts-based startup tried to explain this to the labels, but instead of entertaining good faith discussion, they're reverting back to the old lawyer-led playbook. Udio immediately didn't respond for a request for comment. All right. So what do we think?
Well, this kind of comes back to an argument that I've made before, and I gotta be honest, I'm still on the fence about this, because when they're upset because these AIs are going out and listening to and sampling and learning from all of this media that's out there, and then creating something else inspired by that. And I still question, how is that any different than someone else who watches movies, listens to music, sees pictures and whatnot, then goes and makes their own thing that is inspired by that, right? Everyone who learned to be a comic book artist learned first by tracing their favorite artists,
True,
right? Before
true.
they then started making their own stuff, and maybe
So one could make the argument that this is what the AI is doing.
I don't see how you could say it's anything else, really. Because I think there is this belief, this impression that AI is actually copying. And anybody who's ever used these generative AI programs knows that is not the case. There is no one-to-one element. There is no tracing, so to speak. Right? And comic book artists have done this way too much, where they literally directly trace someone else's stuff and then puts that character in a different outfit from a tracing. That's wrong. But that is not what these AIs are doing. They are looking at the wealth and breadth of everything and taking your prompts and imagining. That's one of the prompts. Imagine, how I could take all of these pictures, use them as inspiration to make what you are describing. And it literally comes up with something new. It's really not significantly different than anything any human being is doing. The only difference is it's a program that can't then be copyrighted. Anything that's created by these AIs, that piece of art cannot be copywritten. Legally speaking.
I suspect that these music studios want their own AI.
In-house. Yeah, that's the other interesting aspect, right? It's rules for me and not for thee, or rules for thee and not for me. It's we don't want you doing this, but we can do it all we want. And your joke earlier is actually kind of on the nose. We don't want you exploiting these people, only we're allowed to exploit them.
Anyway. I don't know, though. All this use of AI, it's like Frankenstein's monster. That's what I'm thinking.
And I would say that that's an excellent pivot point.
What? I'm telling you, I think we spent too much time on Gen Con. But here we go. We're talking about this. I don't care.
Oh, yeah, good.
Universal Orlando reveals details on its Dark Universe theme park and concept with concept art. I am excited. I am very excited.
I am too. I really am. But this particular piece of art, I got some things to say. We'll get to that.
Okay. Universal Pictures' Dark Universe may have been a short-lived experience in movies, but they are taking it all the way with a new theme park attraction at Universal Orlando. Universal's Epic Universe, new multi-world park experience coming to Universal Orlando in 2025. The Dark Universe is one of the experiences 5 massive worlds, and today we got all the detail and concept art to share with you. This looks like it'll have an awesome experience, especially for horror movie fans. The press release offers the following details. It's alive! It's alive! Next year, Universal, the pioneer of the horror genre, will bring its timeless monsters to the present day with the debut of the Dark Universe, one of the 5 immersive worlds featured in an all-new Universal Epic Universe opening in 2025. So I'm assuming this is supposed to take place in the same universe that their monster movies took place in, but now it's modern day.
Yeah, I think that's something we were speculating from the previous article we looked at a couple months ago.
So the most mysterious world of Universal Orlando's newest theme park, this captivating new land will envelop guests in monstrous adventures across various attractions, shops, restaurants, and character meet and greets that will thrill everyone from families to classic monster fans alike. Created by the award-winning Universal creative team in partnership with Universal Studios Pictures, Dark Universe blends the iconic stories of unearthly legends like Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, the Bride of Frankenstein, and more, with a new generation of monsters and characters, including Dr. Victoria Frankenstein, the great-granddaughter of the infamous Henry Frankenstein, who has continued his misguided experiments. As guests venture through Darkmoor, the ravaged village within the Dark Universe, they'll encounter the characters and subjects of those experiments within a first-of-its-kind theme park environment that offers family-friendly fun while also pushing the boundaries on intensity in a way that only Universal could achieve. So welcome to Darkmoor. The journey to Dark Universe begins with the moment guests enter its electrifying portal, which harnesses back to the energy of Darkmoor. As guests step a foot inside, that same energy will pulsate through the entire village and connect at top of Frankenstein Manor, the towering focal point of the Dark Universe. Nestled within the blackened stone walls of the town, guests will embark on unique adventures where they can get made up to look like their favorite monsters, spin through the woods aboard thrilling family coaster, enjoy unique dining establishments, enter Frankenstein's Manor to brave Universal Orlando's most chilling ride ever, and more. So here's information on all of them. Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein Experiment. Universal Orlando's most terrifying attraction yet, the state-of-the-art dark ride takes guests deep into the catacombs of Frankenstein Manor, where Dr. Victoria Frankenstein conducts her twisted experiments. In a vain display of her genius, she invites guests into her laboratory to witness a demonstration of her ability to control monsters, but her plans go awry when her attempts to control the most dangerous of monsters, Dracula, fails, unleashing a horde of enraged monsters. Looks like Dracula's going to be in this ride, too.
Oh, yeah.
Guests are then thrust into an intense ride through the darkness as they try to evade the grasp of the Wolfman, the Mummy, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Brides of Dracula, and others. This is another ride, Curse of the Werewolf. Deep in the woods that sit on the edge of Darkmoor, guests will find the Curse of the Werewolf, a spinning family coaster inspired by the Wolfman. Guests will enter the encampment of the Guild of Mystics, where they'll be greeted by the Maliva, the Guild's all-knowing seer and leader, who warns them that they bear the mark of the werewolf. Guests then board a wagon and venture into the forest, racing to escape the werewolves before they become one themselves. And of course, there's a makeup experience, Meet the Monsters. There's always someone or something looming in the shadows of the Dark Universe, including monsters who are eager to meet and greet everyone from kids to adults, including Dr. Victoria Frankenstein's monster and the alluring Bride of Frankenstein. Oh, that'll be an interesting picture opportunity, right? It's with their screaming at you or something, right?
I'm looking forward to the artwork that comes out when it gets a little bit closer to go time. Yeah. There's some restaurants too I thought was interesting.
Das Steakhouse.
Das Steakhouse.
Dark Horse most ominous restaurant. The established a dining.
Is it spelled S-T-A-K-E?
Stakehaus. Yes.
Oh, nice.
And it's run by vampire familiars who size up unsuspecting patrons to be part of the vampire's feast. Surrounded by artwork and artifacts detailing the history of the village's creatures of the night, guests can enjoy a menu of kebabs, burgers, sandwiches, and more. Kebabs makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
It's like Romania or something, I guess. Close to the Turkey, I guess, right? So,
right.
The Burning Blade Tavern, despite the blades of the windmill still smoldering in flames periodically. Yeah, the image you see, they have. Like
wait a minute. Back up to the kebabs. The other reason is Vlad the Impaler.
Of course, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
The Burning Blade Tavern, though, this actually has the it's the windmill. The windmill, the Frankenstein windmill. With the
yeah.
It's going to be going live with the flames, yeah.
And that is an exclusively Marvel, Universal element, yeah. That's like part of their trademark, yeah.
So while enjoying a menu of burgers, wings, bratwurst, pretzels, and special beverages, guests will hear stories of the infamous hounds, boastful hunters from beyond Darkmoor, all while surrounded by an impressive display of the monster heads they consider their trophies. DeLacy's Cottage near Frankenstein Manor sits DeLacy's Cottage food stand with original Frankenstein monster once receives sustenance and friendship. Oh, that's funny. So it's going to be the blind guy. So this has like snacks like twisted taters and ice cream. And
I love that. That's brilliant. Yeah.
And of course, your retail locations include Pretorius's Scientific Oddities. So for like souvenirs. So. And they'll probably expand on it further too, but that's what's been announced so far. So I'm pretty excited. That sounds really cool. You got a werewolf ride, a Frankenstein ride. There's no mummy ride, but it does make sense since they already have a mummy ride in the regular universe.
I do need to interject. We have a guest here tonight. Somebody who wanted to address this, address our chat specifically. Count Dracula is here. Good evening. Thank you very much. I wish to address Curtis Shelby. I do not go blah, blah, blah. Well, thank you, Count. I appreciate you stopping by to clear that up for us. That's it's important.
Oh, that's funny. The Frankenstein monster is here too.
I'll tell you what.
Sorry. Just
This is crucial. Oh, this is so crucial because there are elements of the timeline, the ability for the Frankenstein monster to speak and not speak. Is crucial to the storyline. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that,
well,
and whether
you could
there's
have the old Frankenstein monster that escaped.
yeah.
And is trying to stop Dr. Victoria Frankenstein from creating new monsters. You could have
Exactly. That's the other thing too. It is implied from what you just read. There is a new monster that is made by Victoria. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Like you said, they could do some very good things with the bride. That would be very interesting.
Instead of lightsabers, you could build pitchforks. Oh.
That's funny. That is funny.
Yeah,
but if you look at this picture is, of course, concept art. I presume that's I don't know if that's Victoria or if that's one of the hunters. You've got the Frankenstein monster. You've got the Wolf Man standing on the roof there. My only issue with this picture is that depiction of Dracula. I do not like that.
Well, these are early artist sketches.
Yeah.
It's not the finalized stuff, you realize. They do have a little thing at the park where you can go and explore.
It is Samuel. That's right. That's it's all part of the joke. Yeah.
But the thing is, I think this is really cool, and if they
I'm excited,
maybe this could be a jump-off point for a bunch of movies too, much the way Pirates of the Caribbean movies came from the right as well. So.
Yeah. Now, and I don't know if this is just artistic license or if this is an Easter egg, but you notice a hand coming out of the grave on the lower left corner there, which makes me wonder: vampire, zombie? Are they getting into zombies? You know, there's a lot of ground they can cover with this and uncover and turn up.
I know, funny man. I'm looking forward to these classic monsters. I think I think it's great that they're doing this. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I think they'll do a good job. Universal always does a good job with their parts.
I had speculated before, and I still hope this is the case. I hope they flesh out their lore through this and then go in and start doing movies based on
And I think they can do that. And they can always change the lore in the parks. If they find something doesn't work, they can just change it and make it different.
Exactly. This is what I had said way back when they started the Marvel films. I said it's like they worked it out in the comics when they did the Ultimates. They tweaked it a bit, and then they went to movies. And it's like, that was a great way to do it in advance. I'm seeing the same thing potentially here.
Let me see. Tell me, do you believe in being a vampire? This is how we represent Unbelievable. Apparently, in one of the restaurants, the steakhouse, there are pictures of vampires that the vampire world considers their heroes from their point of view, which I think is interesting. Interesting. I don't know. I give props to Universal. I think there's something very excited about. So we got the Nintendo Land here. We got the Dark Universe. We got other things coming to this park too. So I think this is going to be something special. So I tell you though, I want to go to those restaurants. As much as the Nintendo restaurants I found interesting, I think I want to do the Dark Universe restaurants more.
Yeah,
but this is
so last article. Mark Melnikoff is known for very oftentimes saying Troy was right. Troy was right. Well, this is one of those times where we're going to have to say Troy was wrong, or it looks like I'm going to be proven wrong on a prediction that I made.
Yes. So no strike this summer. IATSI and the studios reached tentative deal on area standards agreement. So I would say that this is good news for people who were fearing a strike. IATSI and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers said Thursday that they have reached a tentative agreement on all issue for the area standards agreement, the companion contract to the basic agreement that got its own tentative deal Tuesday night. The latest agreement between the two unions and reps for the studios and streamers meant pending ratification there will be no IATSI strike coming this summer. Members and signatories have the opportunity to review the agreement in the form of a detailed summary in the days to come, followed by a memorandum of agreement and at a later date. The two sides said in a joint statement today. The news comes after Tuesday night. The two sides reached a deal on the basic agreement more than a month ahead of the expiration of the contract. See, they started early.
Mm-hmm.
They started dealing early, which is what the directors had done. It was the actors and the writers that were... What were they doing?
Yeah.
Because apparently you can start negotiating up a year in advance, right?
Yes, you can.
So there should be no need for a strike.
And my logic, my prediction had been that they were again not going to do that. They were the strike was looming. It was going to happen for sure. And I was absolutely wrong. It looks like they took the opportunity, hammered it all out, and they've already come to an agreement. So there won't be a...
Hey. I want everything to get back to a sense of normalcy.
Well, I'll tell you, if this... Well, and this could also be part of the negotiation thing, right? It could be very much that they realized if we don't get back to work, everybody suffers. So let's get this hammered out. Nobody benefits if there's a strike.
Right.
I'd like to think that cooler heads, intelligent, wise heads prevailed here. I think that's oftentimes giving Hollywood too much credit, but in this case, we gotta call them like we see them.
Yeah.
So good on Hollywood for getting their heads out of their collective asses and doing business the way business is supposed to be done.
I just feel I think streaming hurt them a lot, and also probably the pandemic and everything else. I think, but I want the adults to enter the room again, and I want I want talent to be paramount, and I want treating the customer with respect.
There's no
to be
talent
paramount.
at Paramount.
Not at Paramount, no. I don't know what's happening. Well, Taylor Sheridan, they seem to have him. People like him, but yeah. They just didn't have the wherewithal to actually get their main series on their own streaming channel. But what do I know? Anyway, I'm going to say one more thing about the Universal Park, though.
Uh-huh.
Phantom of the Opera. Do something with him.
Oh, God, no kidding.
Either a show, but then, of course, you don't want to be compared to the Andrew Lloyd Webber show, or a ride.
Yeah. Or
license out the Andrew Lloyd Webber music. But then they're not going to do that because that's still...
They're not going to do that, and they shouldn't. They should keep them separate.
Maybe do a ride or something. There should be something.
What's unfortunate is that the...
like the Lon Chaney Phantom of the Opera. I'd like to see that.
The Andrew Lloyd Webber is so well known and so popular, you almost can't get away from comparisons. But if you look back at the original Lon Chaney, which was a silent film...
Yeah.
There is something there that they can work with. But what you would want to do is tap into the now public domain music that was already a part of that. Yeah. The original story talked about specific operas that were performed. They were referenced in the movie.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to use that music.
Okay. I have the idea. A flume through the Paris sewers.
Oh my God, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Dark Universe, you have full permission to use my idea. No residuals needed. I don't want you to say, "Oh, we had this idea, but the stupid YouTuber came up with it." No. If you want to do that, go be my guest. All right.
And it's also it's also one of those things. Even if it was to ever go to court, the court would say, "Yeah, that's too much a part of the part and parcel. That's just not an original idea."
Make good rides. That'll be my reward. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, think about it. A flume through the Paris sewers with the Phantom at the head of the flume or something like that. Like he's steering somehow. Maybe you found his lair and you're trying to get away from him and he's coming after you. Boom.
Or the other way around. Maybe you're one of the hunters going after him.
Excellent. I didn't even think about that. Boom. You got it. It could be indoors too, and it could be all creepy.
That could actually be two completely separate rides. You get off one, you get onto the other one.
Excellent. You could have there could be like a track A and a track B.
Yes.
Boom. That way it encourages people to come back to the park because they didn't do the other track. Okay. There we go. I disagree. The audience benefits from the strike. Less modern Hollywood movies, more new blood from outside LA, decentralized. Oh, they need.
Well, there's something to be said for that too. Yeah.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you there, but I know that but let's be honest here, though. Those Teamsters, the people, the regular Joes behind the scenes, the workmen, they're the ones I really don't want to see lose their jobs. I'll say that.
And Midnight's Edge brought up a great point. Yeah. You have these different segments of the entertainment industry with their contracts all coming up at different times. And a lot of times they're arguing over the same ground. It's like you want to be, collective, what do you call it? Collective bargaining. Get on the same track. and all stand in solidarity. The actors, the writers, the directors, the behind the scenes guys, everybody, get together on, I don't know, the AI thing or whatever it is,
Yeah. AI, I'm telling you. AI,
Yeah.
you're gonna have this robot's boot on your neck, and some of you might enjoy it. Anyway, no, I'm kidding,
Right?
I'm kidding. Moving on. Anyway, what's going on this week? What do you got going on tomorrow?
Well, later tonight,
That's right.
I've
You're
been
gonna be on
invited
Deleted
back
Scenes,
yet again to the other side of midnight with Deleted Scenes. So, if you like me and you like what I do, I'll be doing more of the same over there. If you don't like me, forget I said anything and go over there for Deleted Scenes.
There you go. And then on check out Deleted Scenes 5 minute. Link is here in the chat. And then on Monday night on your own channel.
So Monday night at the movies, I wanted to do a somewhat patriotic, because we're going to be going into the 4th of July season here, and I literally just, while we were talking tonight, decided, based on a suggestion by somebody, a regular over on my community tab, I think I'm going to do a double feature of Captain America, the First Avenger, and Winter Soldier.
Excellent. That'd be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tuesday, we're going to be on with Deleted Scenes for Sparkwood and 21.
Yes, we are now going into season 3, Twin Peaks: The Return. We'll be watching the first episode of that, and this will be the first time Deleted Scenes is watching it.
Yeah.
So we'll be guiding him through it.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Oh, I've been wanting to say things, but I'm going to bite my tongue until it's okay to say things. So yes.
Yeah.
And then
the embargo lifts when we finish this season.
Well, when we get to a certain point, I am going to bring up a comment I read online. I'll tell you when we're off stream that somebody made online about Twin Peaks: The Return. I thought it was hilarious when I was watching it. Then nothing Wednesday. Thursday, we're going to have...
We'll be over on Netter's Network, myself and Netter. We are talking about doing the first two... we're not committed to this yet, but I think what we're going to be doing is the first 2 episodes of This Is America, Charlie Brown, which covers the Mayflower and the Declaration of Independence.
Excellent.
So we'll be doing a little bit of a watch party for that because it's Independence Day proper, and people that we would have had as guests are busy, and
Gotcha.
a lot of our listeners might even be busy that day. So
gotcha. Yeah. And then on Friday, it'll be you and I again, and we're still ironing something out.
No, actually, I think we're in solid. I got word back from our special guest. It looks like we are going to be pulling in Nick from Beyond the Hub podcast, and Aged Boomer and I are going to be doing our part 2 of our Urban Legends topic or track or whatever you want to call it.
There we go.
But I think we have just the right guest for that. It'll
be fun. Going to be some more spooky ones. Some of you had mentioned them last time. Oh, we're going to do this, and I said have patience, and then I ended up doing too many, so we had to cut it, make it a part 2. But they're going to be in part 2.
There we go.
And then Saturday, what do you have going on?
Saturday on Netter's Network, I will be guesting over there with her and Big Al for Netter's Network's Retro Cinema, the 1981 fantasy epic Dragon Slayer.
Oh, excellent. I remember that one.
Yeah.
All right.
Although, you know what? Back up a second to Friday. That reminds me. Back up to Friday. Before last call, Aged Boomer and I think... Deleted Scenes, Aged Boomer. Did I say Aged Boomer? I meant Big Al. Big Al and Deleted Scenes will be doing Dragon Heart.
Oh, okay.
And maybe Big Al will talk about the gift that he got from Soundtracks with Birdman.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, he comes on those streams sometimes too.
Yep.
And then that'll bring us back to Sunday, which will be unscripted deleted scenes and Geeky Geezers. And I'm going to look into that MTV disaster. I'll try to do that now.
No
All
kidding.
right. Y'all have a good week.
Take care,
It's
everyone.
very late. And check out Troy and deleted scenes on their stream in a little under a half hour. Catch you later. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.